set these fugitive apes free, and now they view me as a false messiah who needs to be put down!
No, they're not part of the core roster. I'm sorry to break the bad news to you if you haven't heard, but it seems the chorus kids will not be in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. But this is the Kongversation, and we'll persevere, as we always do. I'm Hyle Russell. Mitchell Wolfe is also with me this episode. Hello, Mitch.
Yo, Nintendo gamers! It's M-Wizzle here talking about Super Smash Bros. At the KV. How you doing today, Hyle?
Oh, I'm feeling much worse now, thank you.
Radical!
Whoa! Radio! So, this is the first episode you've been on since our E3 adventures, and a lot has happened in the world of Smash since E3.
A lot's changed, and a lot kinda hasn't at the same time.
Well,
which is always a fun thing to say without explaining yourself.
It's nice to say absolutely nothing, but require a full sentence to do it. So
yeah, yeah, for sure.
No, we experienced Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, the actual unveiling, and playing it. We experienced it together during that week, and we were both pretty positive when it was revealed, that initial direct, and the playing experience. You did the competitive, I did or for glory, excuse me, and I did the for fun, but we both had a swell old time with it, and we both walked away, I think, unanimously agreeing, hey, this is a great course correction for Smash Brothers. This is going to be the most pleasing Smash Brothers for as many people as possible, probably since Melee. Oh, maybe Brawl, if you want to like parse the details, but
sure.
Obviously,
even before that, I in retrospect, this is pretty funny. I forced you to do an episode on a potential Smash 5 near the end of 2017.
You did, yeah. I remember that. Yeah.
You were like, why? Why would I ever do that?
I thought that was, I agreed to it, by the way, but...
Yeah, I know, because you're a friend. But...
at the time, it seemed, well, this is just a whole lot of nothing. It's basically like doing a Kevin Callahan episode of The Kongversation. Like, well, we should speculate about a new Diddy Kong racing. Derp, derp, derp. You know?
Yeah. My argument for why it should happen was that I know Smash 4... was in a lot of respects a bit disappointing, especially for this group of people.
Yeah. That
said, this next one might not be. And even just phrasing it like that, I think your reaction to that was like, I don't know. I don't know if I believe that. But you know, here we are. Here it is different. It definitely feels different. We've gotten to a place where I think this game will be much more enjoyed than the last one in a lot of ways.
Absolutely. They've done so much right by the fans this time around, and I'm not just talking about us. I think they've been really ticking off a lot of boxes, but obviously, since you were last on the show, Mitchell, the big 800-pound green bomb was dropped on the community with the K. Rool reveal. So, really quick, because we haven't talked about this enough on the show. I want your thoughts before we delve into Grinch this and direct that. Your thoughts on the reveals from August. Simon, Dark Samus, Chrom, K. Rool, and then actually we can talk about Isabelle too, because we have not talked about Isabelle at all on the Kongversation. So, really, what do you think?
My big takeaway is that as cool as it was to have that K. Rool stinger at the end of that already awesome August Direct, they probably shouldn't have done it. Looking back, I'm not saying they probably shouldn't have K. Rool in the game. I'm saying looking back, that K. Rool trailer was a hat on a hat. That Simon Belmont Direct, Simon Belmont, Richter Belmont, you already had Chrom and Dark Samus, and then just the rest of that Direct was amazing also. It was maybe the best, most well-produced Direct Nintendo's ever put out for anything. I would vote on that August Smash Ultimate Direct for a best of directs competition. At the end of
I
that,
don't know.
just putting
Do you remember?
K. Rool in that also.
Do you remember the E3 Direct where they turned into puppets? That was pretty good.
Yeah, that 2015 lovely Direct where they kind of talked a little bit about Star Fox Zero and then got bored for a while.
They talked about why there was a zero in the name because Miyamoto liked the shape.
Yeah, the shape of a zero. It's a new thing. All the kids are drawing this fun shape. It's like that. It's like when I was a kid, everyone was drawing that weird, crazy graffiti S that people said was gang insignia, but isn't actually from anything. Remember the S? Do you remember drawing that S when you were a kid?
What S are you? What?
So you draw 3 parallel lines on top and then 3 parallel lines on bottom. And then just the way you connect the lines, it's called the cool S. And depending on, there's like a weird cultural phenomenon that goes on with this cool S. Depending on what part of the country and when exactly you grew up, there was a different explanation for it. The one in my middle school that, like, for this S existing was that, hey, this is gang insignia for the Bloods. And I said, but Bloods starts with a B. And the answer to that was, yeah, but it ends with an S. so that's why the cool S. Yeah, Cameron Regal just linked it in the chat. There's a whole, that S thing that everyone drew in school. Okay, Cap and Cheesebag says, I always knew it as a Stussy S, and everyone thought it was a skateboarder's emblem. Yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of interesting excuses for it existing. I forgot why I started talking about this. I just remember. Do you remember the S, Hyle?
I honestly always thought it had to do with the SS, and I always avoided it. I thought it was neo-Nazi symbolism myself. So good to know that it was actually really, really cool and something I should have been in on. Another reason why I was excluded from the popular kids table during lunchtime.
It turns out that it's just like a really satisfying thing to look at and draw, so it comes up in cultures like all over the world for no reason, and everyone thinks it's like this other thing, and it's not every time.
It's like the Legend of the Dragon. Why does this?
Yeah.
Why is the dragon so prevalent in mythology across the world if they don't really exist?
There are 3 constants. You can't have sex with the dead. You need to know what dragons are, and you need to draw the S. Those are the 3 constants across all cultures.
Right.
I'm pretty sure this tangent started from a Smash Bros. Thing.
Pretty sure it did. So why don't we take our cool
I cannot for the life
S's,
of me remember how it happened.
Let's take our cool S's back to August 8th. So yeah, so what you're saying is that direct was too loaded, considering that the most recent direct, as far as character reveals go, was more of a flaccid wet fart, and I realize that terminology makes no sense. I'm talking about the moment when the penis grows flaccid, coinciding with a wet fart, the most unerotic imagery one could associate with a man's nether regions. So you're saying that they should have like split it up a bit, like maybe have Simon Belmont there, and then if they wanted another reveal, throw in maybe Ken or Cinnabon, what's his name?
So I've been thinking about it. The exact way I would have done it is that because Crom and Dark Samus were already the 2nd and 3rd Echo announced in that direct, I take both of them out because they are fan favorites in Japan and US specifically, and I put them in this direct, in this November direct, and I take the K. Rool trailer, and I put them in this November direct, and in place of that K. Rool trailer, the August direct can have the Incineroar and Ken trailer. So it would have been Simon Belmont, Richter Belmont, Ken, and Incineroar in August. And then in this one, it would have only been 3 things, which is one more than 2 things, so it's better that way. But all those three things are very much fan favorites. So you would be ending on Sakurai saying all three of these things did extremely well in the ballot, and we wanted to keep that in mind for picking the characters this time. If he says, even if you don't like K. Rool, if he says this was chosen because you voted for him, you can't get disappointed at that. Like, you just can't. That would be saying he won the election. That's what it is. Like, that's why he's in the game. You could say, oh, well, that wasn't for me, but if he won the ballot, I get it. So that's how I would have reordered it, because ending on Ken and Incineroar, Ken being probably the most obvious echo in the whole game, and Incineroar just kind of being another Pokemon, not even the most popular Pokemon from the generation of Pokemon that he debuted in. It's a real soggy taco. That's a soggy taco. It's
soggy taco.
You think it's going to be delicious, full of sauce, and then you take a bite in it, and it doesn't even crunch a little bit. That's a soggy taco.
That's also very, very upsetting imagery when one associates it with the nether regions.
Sure.
Mitchell, I see your point, and I've heard other people make similar arguments. As a K. Rool fan, personally, I'm glad we got that gratification earlier than November. I think that had we not known K. Rool was in it up until this point, it would have created a lot of anxiety, a lot of apprehension, and a lot of people not coming on board the Smash hype wagon when they did. I think by getting it in August, it made us a lot more agreeable for everything that came after. Like Isabelle. Okay, great, Isabelle. Not anything I really care about, but I'm happy for those fans who really wanted Isabelle. You know, and then all the reveals in this direct, it was just like, okay, that's fine. I got mine, so
I see what you're saying, but I feel like that feeling of contentment would have come just as strong only 3 months later. And really, when you're thinking about the reveals, probably two years from now, the next Smash is still not in sight yet, but this launch period is also far in the past. You might remember how it ended, and that 3-month period between August and November will be like a snap in memory. So I think ending it on a good note is maybe more important than having that interim period of contentment.
I think it just depends how you're psychologically wired, honestly. I
think it's also because just for K. Rool, that is a big deal outside of our community. Like, people were happy about K. Rool outside of DK Vine, believe it or not. And Incineroar is a lame announcement outside of our community as well. So it's not just for us. It would be like for the rest of the people too. That was kind of a soggy taco universally.
You're really trying to make that phraseology stick. You're trying.
I think
you're trying to get those soggy taco T-shirts printed and mass distributed, or maybe soggy taco boxer briefs. I don't really know.
It's because I just don't actually care that Incineroar is in the game. I don't think it's a necessarily bad pick. Sometimes characters are chosen for Smash specifically because of how interesting they would be in a fighting game. Rosalina and Luma were an example of that, like having a puppet character. We've never seen that before. That's why they were chosen. If Incineroar is the same thing because we haven't had a grappler before, fine. Like, you know, it is a soggy taco. Ending on that's not your most exciting thing to end on. You shouldn't have wired it that way.
And we can get into some theories about maybe why that happened the way they did. It seemed like poor planning on Sakurai's part, quite honestly.
Yeah.
And, we might have some theories to kick around about that later on. But overall, besides the presentation, I mean, what did you think about that character lineup before this current news cycle?
Wait, so you mean before this direct? Like, what did I think about what we had seen so far?
What do you actually think about having K. Rool, Simon, Isabelle, Dark Samus, and Chrom in Smash Brothers?
Great. I feel great about it. like Daisy's probably an unpopular one amongst most people. I specifically like Daisy a lot, so I feel even better than most people do about this, and I think that most people really like this. Finally getting Ridley, finally getting Simon Belmont, who's just like completely through and through, just like Mega Man. Simon Belmont is a Nintendo All-Star for sure.
Right.
Isabelle, I think it's important that Animal Crossing got a stronger representation in Smash, and Isabelle is the way to do it. Being that she's a semi-clone, it's one of those things, like, I don't get that mad at clones when they're in Smash, because I know that they're so much easier to put in, and they didn't come at the expense of a unique thing I wanted. They came at the expense, at most, of a different clone that I wanted. And even then, Isabelle, I think, is fine. The way she plays makes me more excited to try her than Villager. I never quite picked up Villager in Smash 4, and the differences between Isabelle and Villager seem cool. Dark Samus, just like that to me says, we gave Metroid another big rep, but we decided that didn't need to be where it ended. I thought that was cool. Chrom is probably the biggest bummer of the whole thing, and it's an echo. What are you gonna do? Super positive about the whole thing. K. Rool is obviously my favorite newcomer of the whole thing, and seems great. I'm in. I don't know how to say it in other words. I'm just into it. I'm very, very into this roster.
Yeah, I mean, look, all I needed was K. Rool, quite honestly. Like, K. Rool is enough to placate me and keep me happy. I don't care who's in the game. The fact that K. Rool is in it is still so unfathomable to me. So just completely dreamlike that it's just such on another tier than even Diddy was, that, oh man, yeah, whatever. You know, you can give me whatever. Like, the fact that K. Rool was so prominent in this direct as far as appearing in the other trailers and appearing in footage, like, that was just surreal to see. Like, he's just a Nintendo character, just like Mario and Link and Samus. What? You know, it's K. Rool, of course he's there. That's the new reality that's taking time to acclimate to, but that's a good thing. Like, that, it's just, I never thought we would get to this point where K. Rool would be so visible, so naturally part of the 70-some all-stars in this game, and Dark Pit. You know, it's just, I'm beyond the moon at this point. And the feeling, while it, like, the euphoria has worn off from that August reveal, just seeing K. Rool brings it rushing back. So they could do whatever the fuck they wanted at this point, and I would pretty much be okay with it.
During our E3 discussion, we brought up the fact that Ridley is an indication that characters are chosen for a different reason this time than they were in Smash 4. Smash 4 was kind of just like, pick up whatever your favorite things are as a developer. Sakurai, you've earned it. Just put them all in. And this one seems like, okay, maybe we did that too early. There were a few things that definitely needed to be in first. Let's rethink that. Let's get Ridley in. And I think that the reveals since then have proven that state of mind correct. Simon Belmont is absolutely that kind of character. K. Rool is absolutely that kind of character. We, on our level of being adult, male, like, heteronormative types of people, probably wouldn't associate Isabelle with that so readily, but I think there's an argument to be made that even she is kind of on that level. And Animal Crossing is huge at this point. It's bigger than a lot of the standard Nintendo franchises that have been considered bigger than Animal Crossing in the past. So getting that second Animal Crossing rep is a big deal. I think I'm really impressed with the level of restraint that they've shown, and the level of care that they've shown in the reveals of all these characters. I love it. I love it. It's exactly what I want Smash Bros. To be.
Yeah, this is pretty much, it feels like this is Sakurai's swan song, whether that bears out or not, because we thought Smash 4 was going to be, but this very much feels like, okay, it's time to give the fans what they want, because I'm not getting another chance, and I want to go out on top in their opinion as well as my own. So, here we go. You get Ridley, you get K. Rool, you get Isabelle, you get Simon Belmont. It's felt so much like... not even fan service, because fan service would imply something cheap going on, something kind of tawdry. We're just gonna throw in some fan service to keep
this is high quality
happy.
Fan service.
These are obvious choices. These are obvious choices, or it's fan service done at such a high caliber level. Like, I would argue up until this point, K. Rool would be fan service, and I say that trying to intellectually distance myself from the fandom. Like, sure. Before this point, K. Rool was not a Nintendo All-Star. You could make the argument that maybe he should have been, but because of the way things, bore out over the years, the buyout and then the reluctance to use a certain segment of rare characters, K. Rool just fell out of prominence. And Smash has that touch. It's the Kingmaker. It can revive any character and instantly catapult them to the top of the heap. That's what it's done with K. Rool, but it's not just, we're just going to give you K. Rool. We're going to give you K. Rool done at such a ridiculously high level of care and craftsmanship that it's going to feel completely natural, independent of any fan petitions, fan movements, fan wants, or fan desires. That's what's so freaking cool to me, that it all just feels so much like it was preordained, that this was destiny that these characters got in. And it feels very much different from Smash 4, which was just, outside of a few ones like Mega Man, it felt like, okay, the Wii U is floundering, quick, we got to throw in some characters to drum up interest in these other games.
Sure,
and
yeah.
It just never felt like these characters actually earned it. And I know that's kind of a ridiculous argument to make, because what fictional characters earn anything? But these characters...
The DLC more than the base game for Smash 4 as well. I think the base game was disappointing for things that I was personally hoping for, but it's fine. The DLC really got somewhat egregious with it. I agree. I agree.
Yeah,
for the most
it
part.
basically felt like a few obvious inclusions, Little Mac one, then it felt like Sakurai's wish list, like a kid who won the Toys R Us shopping spree, or it was a KB Toy shopping spree that Nickelodeon used to promote, and then it was just basically Nintendo's flop sweat over the Wii U's failure, and maybe Sakurai doing a solid for Iwata by getting some of these other franchises in there. So, all that being said, this is much different this time around. Everything has been fan-pleasing. Even if you're not personally invested in a character, you can at least appreciate what it means for the fan base that is happy. So, how can you top the characters that have already been announced up until, say, Halloween this year? Well, we got a brief illusionary glimpse of a world where we had the perfect Smash roster. Let's just say perfect is again a debatable term, because there were exclusions like Dixie Kong that you can make a case for, but I don't think anybody would have had a problem with this had it actually been the truth. And I, of course, am talking about the now infamous Grinch leak. Now,
Boo!
Mitchell. Oh, yeah. Now,
I believed it.
What's that?
I believed it. Just, I'm stating up front, I definitely believed it. It was too convincing. I think it was probably the best fake leak of all time. The amount of orchestration that had to go into this leak in order for it to be fake, which it was, is mind-blowing.
Part of becoming a well-rounded, mature, insightful individual is admitting when you're wrong, or admitting when you've been had, admitting your mistakes, and growing from it. I think we can both do that, considering we were both had by this. And in our defense, like you just said, it was very, very well done. The level of I don't even want to call it like craftsmanship, because that's giving too much credit to what in the end is basically some shitty person trying to dupe people. My thoughts on Smash leaks, be it hoaxes or real, have been documented so much in the past, and I get very, very tired of this game that comes with every Smash Brothers since Brawl, but especially prevalent since Smash 4. And this was just there's so much nuance with this one, and I think that's where it differed from other ones. It wasn't just a very, very blunt, obvious hoax. This was done with so much care and several layers of just duplicity. I don't even understand it completely, but we were both. So
not only did they have to make the image that had the character leaks in them, which would have involved cutting out every single one of those painted characters on the banner and moving them around and resizing it, and in some instances skewing them diagonally a little bit. Not only does making that amount to a large amount of difficulty, you need to draw every part of those characters that were covered up by other characters. You need to redraw the background. You need to draw the new renders for the 7 characters they added to this. At that point, think about it, like, you're just adding a few. People only expect 2 or 3 more. You could have stopped at 6, and you were like, no, I'm just having fun. I'll draw a 7th hard thing to draw and put it in there. And then once you do that, you need to print it out on the right kind of paper, in the right kind of work environment, and take a picture that looks casual enough to be a real interaction with a friend. And then you need to have a patsy, like a real life person patsy, step in and be implicated by this by having their name in the picture and having that name be traceable to 2 different LinkedIn accounts by the same person, both of which have been on LinkedIn for a very long time, tied to real life printing shops that really did have a connection with Namco Bandai Namco. And the person actually worked at those shops over 2 years ago. All of that needed to happen in order to be fake, and it was fake. So all of that happened. That's insane.
So this is partly why we were both had by this, because the level of, let's call them levees, the level of levees that would have to break before this flooded out as a hoax were insurmountable. And it turned out to be a hoax. Like, what the hell? This is some like next level trolling that I did not think any like shitty edgelord out there would have the tenacity to pull off, because there's no monetary gain to be had from this. There is probably no fame to be had from this. You're directly implicating somebody in this, which could lead to criminal charges. What the fuck?
Yeah.
I mean, we're not really even explaining this to people who don't know what the Grinch leak is. Mitch, you're more in this world than I am. Could you quickly explain to people? And you kind of danced around it, but
yeah. Okay.
Where did this come from? I mean, I know it came from like the nether regions of one of the 4chans or what have you, but
so it was a 4chan post of a guy. And it's now believed that guy who brought it to 4chan's attention was probably in on it the whole time as well.
Of course.
Who received a Snapchat from a friend. A Snapchat video, I might add, of this guy working in a printing shop, explaining how he got a job doing a Nintendo thing, and he was just laughing about it because he, for some reason, that's funny to him. It's just saying, yeah, fuck Nintendo in French. And the subtitle of the Snapchat thing even says fuck Nintendo in French. And in the video, he was just panning over the Smash Bros. Things he was working on. There was the what looked like the completed banner. And it had the Chorus Kids from Rhythm Heaven, Shadow the Hedgehog, Isaac from Golden Sun, Ken from Street Fighter, Mach Rider, Geno from Super Mario RPG, and Banjo-Kazooie. But it was so far away from the camera that making out any of those was difficult, and it looked like a casual thing that someone would send to a friend. And it turned out just to be fake the whole time. That's the beginning and the end of it. The reason people started to really not think it was fake is because that person could be linked to a real-life person who worked in a real-life French printing shop that really did work for Bandai Namco multiple times in the past. So, yeah, that's where we were. That's why we believed it. And not only was it off in the characters it predicted, it was off in the number of characters by a large margin, with the exception of Ken. Ken got in. And that's the Grinch leak. That's what it is.
Well, why is it called the Grinch leak?
Oh, sorry. I guess I should have included that. There was a bit... there was a bit of promo art for the new Illumination Grinch movie that is going to come out at the end of this month. And just it was in the corner of the frame, which makes sense because this printing shop would undoubtedly serve multiple entertainment companies at once. So just having that extra bit of credibility did a lot for people believing that it was the Smash bit was legit as well.
Yeah. So yeah, I saw this. I first stumbled across this because I couldn't sleep. And sometimes like I wake up in the middle of the night, can't sleep. I just jolt awake and then suddenly I'm up, but I'm trying to get back to sleep. So I'll just reach over to my nightstand, grab my phone, browse Twitter, see what's happening. I don't know. And that's how I first learned about it, in the throes of 4 a.m. groggy insomnia. And
sure,
I saw like, oh, the Smash roster has been leaked. Did a cursory glimpse, saw what Banjo-Kazooie looked like, and I was like, oh my god, like, could this be real? I don't know. Oh god, I'm getting tired again. I'm just going to deal with this in the morning. And it was funny because I had other plans for DK Vine that day. Like, I was going to be working on other stuff, but Smash roster gets leaked. Obviously, that's going to take precedence. So it's gonna go first to your list of things you have to worry about. And the more the day wore on, the more it became clear that everybody was believing this, that this was probably real. The more we peeled the layers of that onion, the more the stankiness came out that, yeah, this is probably true. And so I even issued something on social media like, hey, I'm not going to be talking about this, guys. I realize everybody wants to be talking about this, but I feel like this is just... Like, I was envisioning, I was like projecting a few weeks into the future and imagining that Nintendo Direct with perhaps a Banjo-Kazooie reveal trailer, the one we fantasize about with Country Roads, you know? Like, I was thinking, that is a moment I don't want taken from us. That thrill, I don't want that taken from the fan base. So I know this is out there. I know people aren't stupid. They're going to find it. But at the very least, I don't want to spread this because I feel like it's disrespectful to Sakurai. I feel like it's disrespectful for the team, everybody involved who you know, makes Smash Brothers a reality. And it's disrespectful to Square Enix, who owns the rights to Geno, disrespectful to Sega for Shadow, disrespectful to Rare and Microsoft for Banjo-Kazooie. Like, I was thinking about all this stuff, and this is something like, you know, a few years ago I would have talked about, but I'm just kind of a lot more cautious and conscientious of the people behind the scenes who make this stuff a reality. So I was like, I need to acknowledge this, but I also need to acknowledge why I'm not going to be talking about it for the time being.
What's funny is that the actual roster did leak before this by a much more credible person. The Vergebben leaker, who's been like working on this game, leaking stuff since before E3, said that Ridley would be revealed at E3. Simon Belmont's also in the game. There aren't any cuts from Smash 4. Snake's coming back. He didn't get everything. He didn't say everyone is here. He didn't say K. Rool specifically.
He didn't say K. Rool, yeah.
Yeah, the only echo he got actually was Ken. But he did say all of the unique characters, excepting K. Rool and Ken, and how many there would be. And that's, we shouldn't have turned our back on that. We shouldn't have been so seduced by the newest, shiniest leak out there to forget about this other guy that's been like completely consistent the whole time, saying not only was what he was saying making sense, like Incineroar and Ken, I can see that happening. It was backed up by what was called box theory. Did you ever get into this? Theory?
No, Mitchell, because I don't care as much as you do, so I just never, no.
Okay, subtle burn taken, fine, yeah. But also, box theory. It was the idea that the special edition, one of the special editions of Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, has an array of character portraits on the side. And we saw that, like, the side of the box on Amazon or whatever. And just because of the pattern of the characters, it looked like the first 9 characters in the roster were on one side, and then the next 9, and then were on the other side, and they bounced back and forth with 9. But because of that pattern, there needed to be an Echo character placed somewhere near the end of the roster, and people were saying, okay, well, Vergebben says Ken, and after Isabelle, there was only one more space for a character, and Vergebben says Incineroar. That's the end of the roster. We knew that before Isabelle was revealed, even. And that was like a common thing. And I even did an episode of my podcast about it with Jeff Onan. And Jeff was like, dude, I don't believe in patterns and boxes. Jeff didn't believe in boxes. And it makes him look a little bit dumb right now, which is why I'm bringing it up, because I like that when it happens to Jeff.
It makes us all look stupid. And you know what? Yeah. Nicolas Cage believes in patterns, and that's how he found a national treasure.
It's true. And if Nicolas Cage was working on this Smash Bros. Thing with the rest of us, he would have definitely been into box theory. And box theory turned out to be correct. And Vergebben turned out to be correct. Grinch theory, not so much. So that's fair, where we are.
Vergebben didn't get K. Rool, which in my mind is the most important one. So fuck Vergebben.
Well, Vergebben never said he saw the roster. He never said he saw the whole thing. His credentials include being an insider with various people at Bandai Namco. So in the past, he's like heard from them about other fighting games they've done, like Soul Calibur and other stuff, and Tekken and stuff like that. So that's where he comes from. He's never going to see the game, and for that reason, he's never going to know everyone, but he will hear things from people, and he'll be like, yeah, okay, Simon Belmont, I'll pass that along. Which is why he's not hearing the echoes, because they were probably later in development. And I guess why he wasn't hearing K. Rool, because it seems like K. Rool was the big secret one that no one wanted to talk about.
Yeah, well, also fuck Vergebben for leaking anything, because I don't really have any respect for people who risk their career. I mean, I don't care about their career at that point, but it just seems so superficial. And what are you getting out of this besides the vicarious thrill of talking about things you shouldn't be talking about and getting the info out there before anybody else under an alias? To me, it's like, why can't you just be a kleptomaniac if you're that desperate for the tawdriness of illicit activity?
Well, if there was anything he did that was positive, I think it would have been keeping expectations in check, because this Grinch leak absolutely didn't do that. But we thought there were very few characters coming. Like Sakurai kept saying, "Hey, we're slowing down reveals. Hey, we're not going to have very many new characters." So we thought, okay, 2, maybe 3 in the last direct, and this thing comes along and says 7. Yeah, which is probably, I think, believing in the Grinch leak disappointed a lot of people artificially.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think, to get back to the earlier debate we were having about the order of the reveals, we got so much early on, so many long-term fan-desired characters, Ridley, Simon Belmont, K. Rool, that it basically seemed like the good times would never end at that point. And even though Sakurai said this and that, we all, like, in the back of our mind says, yeah, right, Sakurai, we know that you're basically Santa Claus on crack this time around. You're going to be giving us everything. So when we see a leak, especially a very well done leak that can be backed up with so much research and investigation and basically say, yeah, that seems real. So to see Banjo-Kazooie, top of the list for us, of course, but then Geno from Super Mario RPG, the Chorus Kids, which, of course, Mamechi, that day was like a kid in a candy store. That candy very quickly turned sour for him, but he got his Chorus Kids for a brief window of time. Shadow the Hedgehog, Josh Wallen from Off the Geek Critique, another friend of the show. Very happy to have Shadow in there. Isaac has been somebody that has been bandied about for so long. And then there's Ken, which nobody cares about, but oh well, Ken, makes sense, right? If you're going to have Echo characters, of course, get Ken in there.
Mock Rider, Ken is probably the most important Echo that has happened.
Mock Rider was one of those things that just felt right, because it was one of those retro characters that was on par with Duck Hunt or Rob, where it's like, well, nobody really wanted this, but okay. It just felt like, it's inoffensive at best. And kind of
in
cool.
some circles, we were having a fun conversation about, like, Mock Rider is hinted at being a woman in the Mock Rider arcade game. So we were talking about, like, is she going to be female in Smash as well? Is she ever going to take off her helmet and have, like, a big ponytail situation like Samus? Is she going to be on the bike all the time? It was a whole thing we dove into for pretty much no reason.
Zero Suit Mock Rider would have been DLC.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this whole thing, though, really did remind me of the final major leak of Super Smash Bros. 4. And I don't know if you remember that, Mitchell. I don't know if you at home remember that. You can listen to the Season 2 Kongversation episode, Leak of the SS Sakurai, for our thoughts on that. That was the one with Bowser Jr.
I was 7 years old at the time. But
yeah, I know. That was a long time ago.
The ESRB leak. I remember.
But there was a lot of, that's a hoax. But it was basically cell phone camera footage of these characters in action, the menu, the roster menu. So obviously that's a little bit harder to fake. Still possible. Anything's possible in this day and age. But it just felt like par for the course. Like, we're getting very close to the game's release. Of course, this is going to leak, because the closer you get to release, the more and more people enter that circle of trust with the marketing. You have to get the game ready to ship, so more and more people are going to get their hands on it. And so it just felt like, it's about time. And now it's happened. And I still am kind of stupefied that it was complete bunk.
I don't feel bad for believing this. I don't feel stupid in retrospect.
No.
Yeah.
Obviously, there are going to be people. There are the people online who can never be wrong, so they never take a stand on something until after the fact, and they're just like, "Well, I knew it all along." I have long tried to eschew that. I will put myself out there and fully admit I'm wrong. I believed in Kevin Callahan for a long time, Mitchell. And
I know.
As much as I still hashtag want to believe in Kevin Callahan, it's getting harder and harder by the year to have any faith in that particular religion. So, like Michael Stipe, I find myself constantly and increasingly losing it.
Yeah, I mean, it's Kevin Callahan is probably a DK Viner.
Probably, but hey, look. This was a few Kevin Callahan was just a blog going on previously bandied about rumors. This had like the whole. You want to talk about a soggy taco, Mitchell? This was the whole enchilada right here, and yeah, we were duped by it. We were duped by it, but I don't feel bad about that because it was so well done that I feel like you would have to be Benedict Cumberbatch at voicing the Grinch, voicing Sherlock Holmes to really deduce that this was just a ruse. So, bravo, I guess, to the shitheel who came up with this, but fuck you all the same. And fuck you for implicating somebody who probably was not involved with it at all. Like, I don't even want to get into, like, the whole mental gymnastics of, like, how heinous this was. But I don't feel personally slighted because I was tricked. I just feel a little disappointed that we didn't get this dream infusion of characters, because I think this would have scratched everyone's itch. It doesn't matter which fan base you're a part of. There was almost something here for everybody.
Yeah.
So, okay, well, we found out it was fake because of the Nintendo Direct, which came the day after Halloween. And, God, we all walked into this with such expectations. Like, this was the most amped up I've been for any, like, Nintendo presentation, probably since the rumors of Retro developing a new Donkey Kong game right before E3 2010. The level
for me, it was the most amped up I've been since August, because every reveal for this game has been a whole thing. It's really just been,
well, every Smash reveal is a whole thing since Smash 4. Like,
this game is more special than Smash 4. It feels higher profile.
I'm agreeing with you there, but it also feels better, more high profile because of Smash 4's ultimate failures. But before we knew of Smash 4's ultimate failures, we had the Smash 4 hype cycle. So, you know, we had to be continually punched in the gut to earn this level of appreciation for Smash Ultimate. But no, I mean, walking into this pretty much believing for sure that Banjo-Kazooie were going to be revealed. It really, like, put this whole thing on, like, this out-of-body experience that one gets when you walk into something. You have that level of anxiety, that level of trepidation, that level of kind of giddy panic that, is this really going to happen? Is this really going to happen? But also, there was this almost security blanket of course it's going to happen. The Grinch leak said it's going to happen. So I was like trembling as this began. It was like being a kid at Christmas time, knowing for sure you were going to get that Pee-wee's Playhouse playset. And personal experience here. And but you still didn't know for sure Santa was going to bring it, or your parents were going to buy it for you, because, you know, Santa brings some things, your parents buy you other things. It's a 50-50 venture.
Sure. Yeah. They don't talk to each other either, so you usually get duplicates.
No, Santa knows what your parents are planning, and he'll fill in the gaps.
Okay.
I have extensive Santa lore mapped out in my head, Mitch. So whenever, if the day comes I ever have children, there's going to be no plot holes or continuity errors in Santa, and in the legend of Santa.
Andre has pointed out that we have some harsh words for Kevin Callahan, considering that you interviewed him last season. Did you interview him?
Yeah, well, I don't really remember anything from that because there was an ionic storm at the time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it was a whole thing. But apparently I interviewed him. But unfortunately, the ionic storm, as it turns out, erased all contact information I had with him. So I don't know. I mean, it might have been just a DK Viner posing as Kevin Callahan. I don't really know.
It could have been. It easily could have been. Anything could have.
You see, I got answers for everything, Mitchell. That Santa Claus, you can't trip me up. You can't trip me up. The illusion is maintained no matter what.
So,
so this
the
direct
starts.
Yeah, and it starts with Sakurai sitting at a table like a smug little bastard, and part of me is part of me. Don't get me wrong, a very attractive, a very attractive smug bastard. Like Sakurai, eternally youthful man candy. He constantly arouses something in me that I didn't know could be aroused. The taco does get a little soggy by the end of the 40 minutes. I can't help it. I'm only human. And he is just sitting there with those come hither looks. And look, I was like, yeah, Sakurai. I don't know when you film this, but you know it's been leaked. You know the jig is up. So how you gonna wow us, Sakurai? Like, are you nervous, Sakurai, that we already know your game? What are you gonna do, Sakurai? So, a lot of mental back and forth between me and Masahiro Sakurai as his direct starts. Little bit of psychic chess that we're playing. I think I've got him checkmate already from the start. I have played a perfect defense. He cannot possibly come back and be. I am like Bobby Fischer here, man. I have played the best game of my life. And then it starts, and here we go. He's gonna reveal everybody in the roster in this direct. I'm like, oh man, 40 minutes. This is gonna be a non-stop thrill ride. Buckle in, Chico, because we're going to be going downhill constantly. There are going to be corkscrews, some loop-de-loops. We're going to go underwater at one point. It's going to be like the fucking Verbolten at Busch Gardens, Williamsburg, which I just rode the other week. Fantastic roller coaster. And so it starts with the boxing ring.
I knew immediately as soon as I saw the boxing ring that the Grinch leak was fake.
Why is that?
Immediately.
Why is that?
Since Forgebbin came out with his whole Incineroar Ken, and then he had some other things for DLC, other predictions for DLC. My take on how that trailer would go was that Ryu would be fighting Ken, and that's how they would open it. And then Ryu would beat Ken, or sorry, Ken would beat Ryu, and then Incineroar would come in like the heel that he is, and beat the crap out of Ken, and then just like smile and wink at the camera for the end of the trailer. That's what I predicted would happen. It was incredibly close to what happened. So when I saw the wide shot of the boxing ring, I remembered it from an idea I had. So that's how I knew it was fake. Because that was, I mean, if we're being honest here, if you know what Incineroar is all about, that trailer was incredibly predictable.
Yeah, I like, again, I didn't even know really how to pronounce his name up until a few days ago. I've been calling him Cinnabon, among other things. So I just pictured it would start like a season of Better Call Saul, black and white, with in the future with a balding Bob Odenkirk in a mustache, getting increasingly squirrely about his assumed identity, where he's going to get found out. And so I thought that would be a bold choice for a Smash Direct. No, I wasn't even thinking at this point, because I get into this zone, Mitchell, where all intellectual deduction and reasoning just ceases, and I just get fully consumed by the moment. It's why I didn't see K. Rool coming until Donkey and Diddy were in that treehouse. And even then, I wasn't sure. I can't pick up clues. I'm a terrible Benedict Cumberbatch. Something I've always been ashamed about. My levels of combatchery are what?
No, you got it.
Pretty dry.
That's the way it's pronounced.
Yeah. So I saw a boxing ring. I'm like, well, I don't know where they're going to go with this. This is thrilling. And it was Little Mac fighting some dude, and of course, before you even see his face, you see the red, was it the gi? What do you call it? The Karate Man uniform.
It's a gi.
Yeah. And you're like, oh, it's Ken. Of course, I'm not thinking about Verbolten or whatever his name was.
Troy Bolton, from High School Musical.
I'm thinking Grinch, because Ken was part of the Grinch leak, and I was thinking, Grinch leak confirmed. Boom! We're starting with the least impressive one. We're gonna build up. This is gonna culminate in Banjo-Kazooie at minute 40. Holy shit, what a morning. All Saints Day lives up to his name because St. Phil Spencer got the job done. This is going to be the best day of our lives. I was already thinking, okay, I gotta plan out the conversation for this evening. Got dial Mitch. Luckily, I put him on speed dial. Got to get him on the show. We're going to have 40 calls. It's going to be a 5-hour conversation. So I've got to make sure I do the one day, like same day delivery for my caffeine pills. Maybe get some crack cocaine in here. Just all these thoughts running through my head. Probably, ironically, the reveal of Ken made me happier than the reveal of K. Rool did. And through this incredibly convoluted series of events, Ken was like the greatest thing in the world at that one moment in time. And
when we saw eyes come out from the dark in that trailer, I was like, I had already been pretty sure about what was going to happen. Then I was 100% sure. Whose eyes did you think those were?
So, I have been upfront with you, Mitchell, that my lack of knowledge about anything outside of the Donkey Kong universe, at least when it comes to video games, is pretty insubstantial.
Sure.
So,
I know.
I see glowy yellow eyes, and I'm thinking, does Mach Rider have glowy yellow eyes under the helmet? Maybe. I don't know.
Maybe Mach Rider is a cat. Maybe Mach Rider is Incineroar. That's not disprovable.
Maybe Geno's spirit animal is, some sort of like Persian tiger or something. I don't really know, Mitchell, but I'm game for whatever. Shadow the Hedgehog. I don't know what his deal is. Why is he Shadow Man? I don't know. Maybe he turns into a cat. I don't know. I don't care, because as far as I'm concerned, still at this point, I'm all Grinched up. I'm all on board with the French print shop. And so then this dude comes out. I don't know who this dude is. He's Catman Do. I don't know. Yep. So and then when he does his little dramatic pose, and it says Incineroar disappoints you, or whatever his Smash introduction was. I remember thinking, I guess the Grinch leak missed one. Maybe everybody missed Incineroar in that mural.
Then you kept going?
I had to believe it. I was in too deep, man.
That's not. That's sad. I didn't know it was the end either, though. I thought there could have been more things. I just knew that the Grinch leak was done. Look,
I'm not saying I'm ever going to open up my own private detective agency, so as far as I'm concerned, there's no shame to be had as far as trying to, your brain has to rationalize what's happening. And, I very, very, vaguely remembered us talking at E3 time about the Sebastian Vettel leak and thinking, you mentioned the Pokemon that was from Better Call Saul. And so I was like, oh, yeah, was that real? But no, he didn't get K. Rool, so now that can't be real. Okay, everything is completely on the table at this point. we don't know anything. Okay, sure. I still think the Grinch leak is real, but I'm a little skeptical at this point. And then they do the adding to the mural, and I'm like, okay, so do those poses match what was on the Grinch leak? I don't know. I don't remember, but I don't have time to go look for that on Google because I've got to keep watching this. I can't keep my eyes off this direct because Sakurai's going to get something by me. And then Sakurai says, and now we have introduced every new fighter in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Does he say like the core game or like the at launch roster, or does he just like say, I forget the actual wording.
I think what he says is the roster is now revealed. And then he says base game is how he describes it. The base game. Now the roster is revealed for the base game. Yeah.
So I'm thinking, I remember being utterly confused at that point and thinking, well, you're full of shit, Sakurai, because there's 40 more minutes of this nonsense left. What can you possibly talk about for 40 more minutes? You're lying to us, you liar, you lying man, you're very sexy and you lie to us. That was my reaction, Mitchell, to what he said then. And
did you not how aware of spirits as a word were you at this point?
Well, as somebody who is on the fence about whether ghosts are real or not, I'm well acquainted with the concept of spirits. So no, I remember when the last Direct, was it the August Direct where we first had the pixelated thing, or was that the Isabelle Direct where they showed the pixelated menu?
That was the August Direct. That was the same one as K. Rool.
I remember the pixelated green, and I joked at the time, well, that means Xbox crossplay.
The only Smash thing from Isabelle's was Isabelle, because that was just a general Nintendo Direct.
That's right. That got delayed because of the earthquake. Yeah. So I remember like the green pixelated. I remember somebody somehow deduced that it said spirits. I think in the Japanese Direct, it was a little bit more clear, and they were able to take that and clean it up and see that it said spirits underneath that. I could be wrong there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty much how it happened. When they were zooming in and out of different menu options, the crystal ball pixelization shifted a little bit, so you could average out what those squares were, and it was clear that it was the word spirits. Even from day one, we already knew what it was, but what spirits was still a mystery. Pretty much until this final day, I had no idea. I had some guesses as to what spirits were. I thought it was just a really obtuse name for the story mode. One was called Subspace Emissary. That's already pretty obtuse. Call it spirits. Why not? I thought it would be, my guess for this game's story mode was that it was going to be a Metroidvania-like big platforming map, like that one, like the Great Maze at the end of Subspace Emissary. But that was just the whole thing, and you could explore that map, and you could go to different like Nintendo themed areas and find characters there in the wild. And if you beat a character in a Smash battle after finding them on the map, you would just unlock them. That's the way you want to unlock characters in this game. That wasn't what it was, by a long shot. Spirits are a totally very different thing. A very super different thing.
Yeah, and ironically, it makes me want to partake in some spirits, because it makes me want to get a little drunk. I'm fine with it, I guess. It's basically, hey, we can't invest time in trophies because it's a huge time sink. It's not really worth it in our opinion, so we're not going to really do trophies this time around. But remember stickers? Remember those? What if we split the difference and we boost the importance of stickers, i.e. reused art assets from the entire history of video games, and just say they're actual characters, but they're the ghost of characters, and they somehow boost the stats of the actual characters who are playable. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah, you got it. So they're a little bit like trophies from Melee, a little bit like stickers from Brawl. They're a little bit like equipment from Smash 4, which I used once, maybe. And,
I hated equipment.
Yeah, I hated equipment the most out of all of them. So it's a little bit like everything they've had before in place of everything they've had before. Because now it's just spirits. There are no stickers, there are no trophies. There are no RPG elements of this game that are not related to almost called them stickers, spirits. It's all spirits related. That's why there's such a big part of the main menu. And that's why they were a secret until now. Now, what spirits are, now that I've seen the entire direct and I've had a day, more than a day to ruminate on it, I am cool with it. I'm actually into it. But
yeah,
during the direct, I was so bummed out.
Really?
I was like, they were explaining this in such a infantile way. They were like, we're going to have spirit battles. That's a battle that you can do against a character that's using a spirit that we've augmented somehow to be more like that spirit. And I think the first one they showed was it Bullet Bill? How every character would have a Bullet Bill. No, sorry. The first one they showed was Lakitu and Spinies. Iggy Koopa looked like a Lakitu because he was in a clown car that was white and he had the Koopa face and whatever. And then a bunch of tiny red Bowsers that looked like Spinies. And then I was like, oh, I get it. It's like an event mode thing. And if I get it, I get the Lakitu and Spiny spirit. And they said, oh, I don't think you get it. You must need 7 more examples. And the number of examples they gave and the amount of time they spent on something that seemed like it didn't go anywhere, because they talked about all this before they talked about the actual adventure mode that's in the game. So yeah. They were just like spilling their mouths about this incredibly boring sounding thing that I thought I would never use. And it made me so mad. It just made me like think, okay, this is 40 minutes, but that's only because 30 of those minutes are talking about spirits in the most boring way possible. And like I was upset that trophies were gone because of this, and I was upset that it looked like event matches were gone because of this, and I was upset that this was the focus of the last direct when the character reveals weren't that amazing. I was upset about a lot of things about spirits. Now that I know, and this, maybe we're skipping ahead a little bit, but now that I know that spirits are the way they are because they interact with the adventure mode, World of Light, I like it a lot more. I'm way more into it right now. I am currently much more positive than negative on spirits.
I'm pretty indifferent. I will miss trophies as cumbersome, as cumberbatchy as trophies got in Smash 4. Just so many of them, and just the ways you got trophies were not as fulfilling to me as the way you got them earlier in the series. I still like the original character models, the bios. Like, there was a reward there, especially if you were a fan of a franchise. Like, getting a trophy from that franchise that you wanted to get felt good. It felt like, oh yes, I got this trophy. I got this Candy Kong trophy. Yeah, I got the Candy Kong trophy. Yeah. Stickers. I call them stickers. I keep calling them stickers because that's what they are. Spirits, on the other hand, despite the woo-woo kind of, ooh, yeah, they're the spirits of the characters. Woo! Isn't it great that we got all of these characters in Smash Brothers? Derp, 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 derp. It's basically just character artwork that you can pull up on Google. And
that is for sure a negative.
It would be really cool if this was 1996 and most of us aren't online, and even online there aren't these huge databases of character artwork from your favorite games throughout the years. And, these are just things that would be found in magazines and player's guides and instruction manuals up until this point. But, there's really no appeal in having, for me, in having a Dixie Kong and Kiddy Kong in the hovercraft from Donkey Kong Country 3, because I got that on my website. It might be in very, very high resolution in Smash Ultimate. That's great, but I don't know. I would much rather just have a new Dixie Kong character model as a trophy than this. And you can say it's Dixie Kong all you want, but I'm not really going to be feeling that because I've seen this render so many times in my life. I know it's just a render of Dixie Kong. You can't. I can suspend my disbelief, but that's really pushing it, making me believe this is Dixie Kong's spirit.
So two counterpoints. Actually, three counterpoints.
Oh, God.
The first one I just came up with right now as you said that. How do you know what Dixie Kong's spirit looks like? You just chew on that one, judger. Number two, right. We don't know for sure if they don't have biographies.
It's true.
There is an aspect of the menu that no one who has been able to click on things freely that's played the demo of the full game has clicked on yet, as far as I know, which is that there's a list option. So you can see all of your stickers, spirits.
Yeah, you're not going to stop doing it.
I know. In a list. And in that area, I would not be surprised if there was at least some aspect of like character debuted in this game, notable from this game, one or two sentences about him. I would love that, and if that's in the game, I don't care about the absence of trophies that much. But to me, the big part about trophies was always the learning aspect. I was really young when Melee came out, and I learned about a lot of... I basically knew about Mario, Donkey Kong, and Pokemon. Those were the series in Smash Brothers that I knew about at the time of Melee. And I didn't have any older brothers and or anyone to show me old stuff. The trophies in Melee, and the playable characters, of course, in Melee as well, they were the things that said, like, no, this stuff is cool, here's why. Check out this thing about Link. Check out this thing about Monk Rider, even. I definitely learned a lot about Nintendo's history from the trophies in Melee. And now, Melee is pretty close to the midsection between now and 1981, which means that it only covers half of Nintendo's history. The other half is in front of us, so there's going to be a lot more to cover. If these spirits don't have biographies, that's a real bummer for kids. I don't think they'll care about it too much. If you actually ask them, they won't know what they're missing. But I do think that aspect of trophies was important, and maybe still in the game. So that's the thing. My third counterpoint to your point. I'm going for the hat trick here. It's not about what spirits are that I think I've turned around on. They're still a little bit lame that they're just promotional artwork that already existed. It's how they're integrated into the game. So event mode, it's gone. You don't have a large collection of events that have been carefully organized and orchestrated to mirror some sort of silly or interesting matchup. You don't have that anymore, and that's kind of lame. But for every spirit, it looks like, unless they've said, no, it's only some spirits, it looks like for every spirit, you just play that spirit battle, and every single one of those spirits has a whole event type thing in it. Like, those battles seem interesting. Sometimes they play with, okay, well, you got to do this one in stamina mode because it just makes the most sense for what the spirit is. Or you have to play it where you can't jump. There's a lot of weird spirit battle constraints that remind me of some of the cooler event battles, so I'm into that. And the way that they interact with World of Light makes World of Light seem much more full. I think that was the biggest problem. I understand why they wanted to keep World of Light to the end, because it was easily the biggest and most impressive and just best reveal in that direct. But talking about spirits and explaining them in full without first showing that there is an adventure mode for you to actually use them in, so they don't just feel completely unnecessary, would have definitely been the way to go. It was so boring without knowing that they were for an adventure mode. But now that I know, that's what it's for.
Spirits, to be fair to the concepts of spirits, it was definitely more thrilling during the direct than when they got to the options menu, and they talked a great deal about options.
The options menu. That was also a miscalculation on their part.
Sometimes it feels like these Smash Directs assume way too much of the audience, or presume that the audience is way more interested in every minute detail of Smash Brothers and than is actually true. Like, even if this was, let's say, a 40-minute direct for the 6th Donkey Kong Country game, Donkey Kong Country Baja Blast, I would still kind of be rolling my eyes if around minute 30 they went into a 5-minute diatribe about the options in the game. Well, yes, you can change the sound settings. I'll be like, oh, why is this in a direct? I don't care. Yeah. Sometimes it feels like they're padding in these things, and they just expect, well, it's Smash. They're going to eat it up, whatever it is. I don't know. Mm-hmm. So I almost called them stickers. Spirits didn't impress me much. I don't mean to Shania Twain it, but that just the way it was. And World of Light. So this is the subspace emissary-esque thing in Smash Ultimate, and the whatever the fuck Smash 4 had for a story mode. It didn't. It sucked, whatever it was. I remember hating it.
It didn't have one. It straight up didn't.
But whatever that Mario Party-esque thing was in Smash 4 for Wii U.
Okay, yeah, but that really did not have any story aspect of it whatsoever.
Smash Run I also hated, I have to be honest. I just didn't have any appeal to me after a certain point in time. But World of Light is the answer to a story mode in this game. And Mitch, explain this to me, because I feel incredibly obtuse. Maybe it's just feeling completely intellectually inept when it comes to anything after being taken in by the Grinch leak. But explain to me very slowly, as if I were a small child, what World of Light actually is.
You're sighing a lot right now. Are you not into this?
No,
I'm so into this. This is like such a cool reveal to me.
You know, it was a cool trailer, I guess, but at the same time, I'm like, okay, so there's a bunch of master hands, or the hand race, I guess, and there's some sort of like purple phoenix thing in the middle. But what? And then what?
I cannot relate to your indifference at all. This is so cool.
And then Kirby escapes because Sakurai can't have Kirby harmed. And
so
Kirby...
there's Galeem, and I only know that name from a press release that came out after this direct. But Galeem is that ball with the 6 multicolored wings that was in the middle of that field of Master Hand. Shulk is there. Shulk can see the future, and he sees that all of these Master Hands are going to converge into Galeem and then come out like rays of light, as if rapturing all of the Smash Brothers characters. All of them. Shulk warns them. Because Shulk warned them, Kirby, at least, has enough power and warning to get away. So Kirby can survive this. This is how all of those Nintendo characters lost their physical forms and were turned to spirits.
I thought you were going to say virginity for a second.
This is how all those Nintendo characters lost their virginities to apple pies. American Pie 3, Subspace Emissary.
American Pie Ultimate.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's the story, but the story's not like that crazy or important to me. This is just I really liked having a single player aspect of Brawl. It made playing by yourself when you don't have friends to come over or a stable internet connection a lot more worthwhile. And both versions of Smash 4 did not supply an answer to that. Yeah, for sure. This is an answer to that, and I think it looks much better than Subspace Emissary. It's all individual battles, which probably seems lesser. It probably seems like a smaller thing, but when you remember how many characters are in this game and how much variety you're going to get and how many stages are in this game, so you might not even see the same stage twice in this mode. You're going to fight a lot of spirit battles, and then occasionally you're going to fight a fighter battle, depending on where you go on the map, that'll let you rescue a fighter, and now you can use that fighter, and that'll probably be how most people unlock all the characters in this game. Much like how you could just play through Subspace Emissary once in Brawl to unlock most of the characters, with the exceptions of Jigglypuff, Toon Link, and Wolfe. But in this game, it looks like you're going to be able to unlock every single character just by playing and completing World of Light. The platforming in Subspace Emissary was always super weak, and I liked all the cutscenes in Subspace Emissary a lot, and it looks like this game is going to have much fewer cutscenes in general, but I still love what I'm seeing. It looks like a really fun map to go around playing a bunch of what amount to events from event mode, and I liked event mode. Just one after another, get rewards, and there is a bit of an RPG skill tree there, which is basically the manifestation of you getting these spirits, you saving these spirits, now they're on your side, and now you can use those spirits, which is the only way I find spirits worthwhile, if I'm using them for an adventure-type story mode situation. So yeah, I love this. I love World of Light. And it has bosses, too. It looks like it has bosses that aren't going to be available to be played in any other part of the game. So Gallium from Subspace Emissary is there. This is what Rathalos is for from Monster Hunter. Remember from the August Direct, they said Rathalos is an assist trophy and a boss. This is the boss aspect of that. This is where he's being a boss. Dracula is from the Castlevania stage, but he looks like Dracula's also just going to be a regular boss in this mode. It's great.
Bruce Springsteen, also a boss.
Bruce Springsteen, also a boss. Also in this mode, probably. You could make a Mii fighter of Bruce Springsteen, and that would be how that is. So yeah.
No, I like the look of this mode. I think it was just a lot of times when they present things in Smash, they do it in such a high concept pitch that the actual nitty gritty is kind of lost on me. So you can call it World of Light. You can show this really admittedly cool trailer of every single Nintendo character getting raptured. You can do all that, but if you don't explain it to me like I'm a slow child, I will not get it. So, no, I like the look of the map screen in this. It's got the art style is very like Japanese, like very, very like classical Japanese art.
Yeah, thin lines, not a whole lot of color saturation. It's interesting that you have a look that I don't know if a lot of people like, but I personally like when you have 3D elements walking around on a 2D illustrated plane. I think when you do it right and it doesn't look all pixelated and kind of crappy, I think it looks really beautiful.
And I'm fine with it in a context like this, where you have to find an art style that's kind of apart from every franchise that's part of this game. So it's well, it isn't. It isn't
because Hyle, there were so many references to Nintendo areas in that map. There's a city in that map where all the buildings are Nintendo consoles. There was a GameCube building. There was a skyscraper that was just a Wiimote on its butt standing up. There was there were a lot of places that were just referencing specific stages and areas. Like the Bridge of Eldin from Zelda is a real bridge on this map. And a lot of examples like that. I think I saw Congo Falls.
Yeah. I mean,
a lot of cool stuff.
Yeah. But, so, World of Light, looking forward to it. I think it was just the confusion over, really? The Grinch leak was a fake? Really? Like, honestly, that did not wear off even after the 40 minutes were over. I was still kind of stupefied. But before World of Light, before that reveal,
sure,
Sakurai did throw in yet another character. This time, not in the base game. This time, if you pre-order the game, you get him as DLC, or her, or it as DLC. And that's Piranha Plant.
Slight correction. It's not necessarily a pre-order. All you need to do is prove to Nintendo that you have it, which is mostly by registering it with your My Nintendo account by the end of January. So you got 2 months. You don't need to pre-order it in order to get Piranha Plant. And then even after that, you can still pay for Piranha Plant. So it's only the free thing is for the first 2 months of the game's launch. But yeah, Piranha Plant.
Piranha Plant. So a lot of people seem to have a problem with Piranha Plant. And admittedly, if K. Rool wasn't in the game, or K. Rool hadn't been announced, I would be questioning the validity of Piranha Plant, because I would be like, really? Like, K. Rool still didn't make the cut for you, Sakurai, but you put in a Piranha Plant? But I'm past that, and honestly, Piranha Plant is just one of those, like, I guess semi-jokey characters. Like,
yeah, it's a joke.
They did it as a laugh, and it's like when that. Okay, I'm fine with it. I kind of like Piranha Plant. I like that it is basically this superfluous thing that you can get it. You can get it for free if you buy the game, I guess at launch or around launch, near launch, within the first month ish, and it's basically just a little treat, a little added bonus.
Right.
It does open floodgates. It does open some floodgates that I would rather not be opened.
That was what I was about to speak to. Jeff Onen said this, and I thought it was a pretty good take. It is now also my take on Piranha Plant, which is a lot of people are saying that Piranha Plant opens the floodgates for just any old thing to get in Smash Bros. You don't need to be an all-star. And I don't think that's true. I think that the only thing Piranha Plant impacts is how future joke characters can be handled. This is a separate thing. It's not like this will lower the bar for what's already considered an all-star. This only changes the bar for joke characters as like a separate categorical thing. And that's where I'm at too. I don't think this will make it easier for any lesser character to become an all-star or to be considered an all-star or to even be put in Smash at all. It'll only impact future attempts at jokes. And I think this is a good joke. I definitely didn't see it coming. I thought it was hilarious. I think at the time I was still a little bit sour of like you. I didn't think the Grinch was real that much after I saw Incineroar, but I was a little bit sour that was just like the final thing we're ending on. So Piranha Plant being the first DLC was a slight bummer for like a second. But after I thought about it for a while, I love it. I'm a big Pokemon guy. I like Piranha Plant a lot more than I like Incineroar for this game.
Do any Pokemon fans like Incineroar? Because I feel like no Pokemon fans like Incineroar.
So I feel like he'll get really mad if we don't mention him. And also just because it is a perfect answer to that question. Special Agent Ape, moderator of the DK Vine forum,
yes,
loves Incineroar. And he's made that clear. And in Pokemon Sun and Moon, Incineroar is the fully evolved version of the fire type starter Pokemon. Now, that makes him pretty popular. He's up there in terms of the popularity of Generation 7 Pokemon Sun and Moon Pokemon, but he was the second most popular starter by far to Rowlet, the grass-type owl Pokemon, who was my favorite. And if I was going to see a Generation 7 Pokemon, I would have hoped it was Rowlet or one or two of the other more prominent Pokemon in the game. So it's not like this was the thing Pokemon fans were asking for, but to say it was completely antithetical to their wishes would also be incorrect. So that is, I think, how you should look at Incineroar.
I mean, I could see why Sakurai's team picked Incineroar. Bipedal, more of a grappler than more of an animalistic Pokemon. Definitely brings something different to the game, and is actually well suited to a fighting game. So.
Yeah. Incineroar is not particularly popular in Japan either, which is weird. He was number 8 or 9 of the 80 Pokemon introduced in Generation 7. Rowlet was, again, number 1. So it's interesting to see how that happened. I think it is totally because of what he looks like and the fact that he's a wrestler. Just some Smash characters are chosen because they are good for the fighting game aspect of Smash Brothers. Incineroar is one of them, and that just makes sense. And for him to kind of just be the one thing in this lineup of newcomers that feels off like that, that's a pretty good track record for Smash. Usually there's more than one.
Sure, and if you want a wrestler in the game, you can't go with Hulk Hogan because the dude's a racist. So,
sure, that is the one reason he can't be in Smash.
It's true. That's true.
Mm-hmm.
But Piranha Plant, I'm fine with because the context is everything in this case. If Piranha Plant was just one of the newcomers, if it was a situation kind of like Rob in Brawl, which I've come around on Rob, by the way.
You didn't like Rob?
Not when
Rob was my favorite newcomer in Brawl. No,
when Rob was first introduced, I did not like Rob, and this was also coming on the heels of Rob being a unlockable character in Mario Kart DS when Diddy wasn't in the game. So there was a lot of already built up resentment for Rob among the DK Vine community back in the mid-aughts. So to have Rob also be one of the last revealed fighters in Smash Brothers at the time, when we didn't get any more Donkey Kong characters after Diddy, just a lot of shitty reasons to hate on a character. And but if Piranha Plant was revealed and and the last character in the game, fucking Piranha Plant, then okay. But the fact that it's just kind of this ancillary thing, there's also this, a little cherry on top of your sundae. Okay, sure.
He doesn't get a CG cutscene, he gets an in-game cutscene. It just seems like a much smaller thing. My pet theory on it, that I'll probably never know the truth to, whether or not this is true, is that the DLC was chosen early in the game's development. Even earlier was the base roster chosen. Piranha Plant was the only one that was chosen halfway through, because I think maybe some programmer at the studio was just like, hey, I did a funny little thing. Hey, Sakurai, check this out. It's like a joke. And then Sakurai was like, yeah, no, put that in. That goes in. That goes in the game.
That sounds just plausible.
Something that was, something that was brought up from there.
Now, to rationalize, to justify Piranha Plant being in this all-star Smash roster, because Smash, unless it's like Pokemon, they don't utilize drones, really. Drones, DK Vine terminology for one of many creatures that populate video game worlds. Like a Koopa Troopa would be a drone, a Goomba would be a drone, Critter, Claptrap, drones. Piranha Plant, drone. But you don't normally see that in Smash Brothers. That's more of a Mario Kart thing where we need to pad out the roster. Let's have a Wiggler as a racer in Mario Kart. Fuck it, we're out of ideas. So to have Piranha Plant in Smash Brothers kind of breaks the stature of Smash Brothers, but I can justify it because of the final Smash where Petey Piranha shows up. Petey Piranha is, of course, a character that DK Vine has also had very, very silly issues with in the past. Just that post-buyout GameCube era resentment of literally everything that subsided with age. It was basically like, these new Mario characters that they're pushing on us, Bowser Jr., Petey Piranha, Shadow Mario, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. I want fucking Mouser from Super Mario Bros. 2 because I am aging into my early 20s and now I'm a bitter old man. I want my childhood back, damn you. So Petey Piranha got a lot of hate back then. I like Petey Piranha now. I very much enjoy the character. And Petey Piranha does show up for the final Smash of Piranha Plant. So in my mind, Piranha Plant is an offshoot of Petey Piranha, like a Groot situation. Baby Groot, from off of Guardians of the Galaxy.
Okay.
Volume 2. So like it was like a cutting off Petey Piranha, or I keep saying he, we don't know, it's genderless pretty much, but Piranha Plant got cut off from Petey Piranha, grew into a Piranha Plant, and now Piranha Plant is in Smash Ultimate because Petey Piranha is just too big.
Well, sure. I mean, there's any number of ways you could use to rationalize this information, or not try. And I think they're all equally valid. You're never going to learn more about this specific Piranha Plant that's in Smash Bros. Unless its spirit has some biography that says, this Piranha Plant is actually made out of paper mache and it's piloted by a bunch of tiny Pikmin. You'll never get some weird backstory for this. So anything you want it to be, it pretty much is.
I am the one who has figured out Santa Claus's backstory, how it relates to the historical Saint Nicholas, and where Krampus and the other companion characters fit into the mythology.
How does Kris Kringle factor into it?
Kris Kringle is just another name for Santa Claus.
Okay, that was a little bit disappointing. I assumed that would be how it is, but I okay, yeah, fair enough. That should be how it is. So I think Smash. Controversial opinion here, Hyle. I think Smash Bros. Would be worse with it just being 100% completely justified all-stars. I think having a weird, dumb, nonsensical edition like Piranha Plant, and it's had one every time. If you think about it, the difference between Jigglypuff in the first game and Piranha Plant now, I don't think there is that much of a difference. I think they're the same kind of edition. It's not like Jigglypuff was the second most important Pokemon at the time by a long shot.
No, but Jigglypuff became much more important in the eyes of fandom after Smash Brothers. Smash Brothers is the kingmaker, so really Smash Brothers has gotten to the point where any character that gets in is immediately justified because the character is in Smash Brothers.
Yep.
So
Piranha Plant's justified.
And that's fine, and I'm fine with that so long as the characters who absolutely deserve it are in. And we're almost to the point where every character who absolutely deserves it is in, with some notable exceptions. So, sure. Piranha Plant, absolutely. We still have the final 5 DLC characters to come, where the absolute last chance for the few notable exclusions in Smash Brothers. But before we get to that, Mitchell, we have some phone calls. Okay. We have some calls, and we obviously Smash Brothers, you put the Smash Brothers signal, you shine it into the night sky, the calls are going to swoop down onto the commissioner's rooftop, and that's what we got. So we have some more calls have come in while we started this episode. Unfortunately, they missed the cutoff, so sorry if your call is not taken. But we have about 5 calls to take. Are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
All right, so let us take the first call. Oh, they're all pretty long too. Damn it, people. All right, here we go. I'm sure these are all going to be super worth it. None of these are going to be the Piranha Plant of calls. These are all going to be K-Rool or Simon Belmont status. Here we go.
Hello, for it is I, the most smart person alive, the most accurate video game journalist of our generation. You might say, Tony, I don't think you are a video game journalist, but you'll be wrong, for I have the 700 Twitter followers to prove it. That is more followers than I believe Ted Cruz, the current senator still of Texas, has. But with that said, I feel that the Grinch leak, I have to make a very important announcement right now. The Grinch leak. I was the mastermind behind it. Yes, for it was I. For you see, I, Tony, use my vast wealth of 700 Twitter followers, which adds up to $700 million. I, Tony, I faked the greatest Smash Brothers leak of all time. And for what purpose? Well, it was my plan to get Ted Cruz unelected, you could say, which, didn't happen, but I was close enough. You could have gotten away with it too, if it was for those Republicans. Now, Hyle and Mitch, my question to you is, obviously, I am not actually the Grinch leaker, and I just made all of that up. Besides the 2 parts about Ted Cruz and having 700 Twitter followers. So what I'll ask you too is this question. What kind of person would make such a leak? Such a devilish leak to ruin the hearts of millions of Smash Brothers fans? The Grinch kind of leak could have even been intentional, as the Grinch is a man who is delighted in people's suffering. He took Christmas, so he took Smash Brothers. So tell us, who do you think did it? What kind of person would do it? How could it be fake? And of course, one more question. Dixie Kong and Kitty Kong and our Echoes, what do you think an Echo fight would be like? I personally think it's going to be, Princess Daisy. But, also, there's Rhythm Heaven, Echoes, a spirit, so you know what? I win still. Anyway.
Well, a lot to unpack there.
Anyway.
First of all, in the live stream chat right now, Special Agent Ape wants to know if Tony was calling through a tin can or like modulating his voice. It sounded like the kind of thing somebody would do when they call late at night trying to blackmail somebody. Mm-hmm. Trying to disguise their voice. I don't really know what was going on there. Obviously, the 700 some Twitter followers have gone to the guy's head.
Yeah, it's more than Ted Cruz.
Apparently. I mean, we all know Ted Cruz just uses Twitter to follow porn links.
Yeah.
So,
he literally just won a congressional election, so I bet probably like 300 followers tops.
Yeah. And Ted Cruz cranked one out in celebration later that night.
You gotta know that. You have to. You have to
got
assume
to know that. Look, we know one thing about Ted Cruz, and that he spanks it late at night on Twitter for some reason. So I'm just saying.
There were 2 questions in there.
Were there?
Yeah, there were. Well, the first was, what kind of person would do the Grinch leak? And I think Tony hit the nail on the head. It's Ted Cruz. Ted Cruz
No, I've got
probably
a theory.
did the
I've got a
Grinch
theory, honestly. What is a way to get people to talk about the new Grinch movie coming out from Illumination?
Okay.
Well, it's to do some devishly viral marketing that has nothing to do with the Grinch. And all of a sudden we're talking about the Grinch here on the Kongversation. I think Illumination is behind it. And there is some connection there because they're also doing the Super Mario Brothers movie coming out in 2022. So they had Nintendo
is that
on the
date
brain.
real? Is it 2022?
Yeah. They had Nintendo on the brain and they were thinking, we have this Grinch movie coming out. It's only been like 18 years since the Jim Carrey version. People are probably Grinched out because, let's be honest, why are we doing a Grinch movie?
Is that movie really that far away?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah, they haven't started it yet, but it's in pre-development.
Whoa. I thought it was
some time.
at least a little bit sooner.
But Illumination, they're the sons of bitches who gave us the Minions, so fuck them. They would be evil enough to do this. So I'm saying it's them. I'm saying it's viral marketing. Fuck these people and fuck them for giving us a movie, a Super Mario Brothers movie, much worse than the Bob Hoskins one. You heard it here first, folks.
So the second question from Tony was, well, he said if Dixie was an echo, what would her echo fight be? And I think what he meant was if Dixie is a spirit, what would her spirit fight be? And he said maybe Daisy. I think that's an interesting idea because Daisy and Peach both float. But I think if it would be either of the two, it would be Peach because she's blonde. You'd want to make it look like Dixie the most, although looking like Dixie the most is probably done using Diddy's pink outfit. So I think it would be Diddy's pink outfit. And maybe they give that version of Diddy Kong the raccoon tail power up. Like just the whole time that Diddy Kong would have the raccoon tail power up so he could like float around in the air easier like Dixie does sometimes. That would be my fan construction of a Dixie spirit battle.
My theory would be you have to babysit some character.
Ooh, okay.
You have to babysit baby Bowser.
Okay, so Bowser Jr. is like behind you, and if Bowser Jr. gets hit, maybe Bowser Jr. has 1 HP and it's on stamina mode, so if he gets hit at all once, you lose.
Yeah. It's a pity Banjo isn't in the game, because then you could have like 13 Banjos in there as well. Because of the Brothers Bear and...
Oh, Gibbon just brought up... there's a point. Tony might have said Daisy because of Daisy Kong being her name at one point. That might have been a thing.
Wait, you mean because Nintendo Power called Dixie Kong Daisy Kong when they absolutely did not give a shit in the early aughts? Yeah.
Yeah, maybe that's why Daisy. I mean, for real though, it's probably Diddy.
Yeah,
he's got a Dixie Kong color.
Right, it would have to be. Also, you know, Diddy Kong's lover, so Dixie Kong's lover, so Diddy would just by default, you know.
And they have shown that they're not against picking characters from other franchises to represent spirits, though. Like there's a big Zelda enemy called the Imprisoned that's getting a spirit that K. Rool is representing because it's just like a tall, fat thing that K. Rool looks a lot like it in a certain color.
But Dixie is a small, heroic monkey, so
yeah, I know.
By
it's
default, I mean,
probably Diddy.
You know, Dixie honestly should be an echo of Diddy, and I can't fathom that Dixie is not in this at all. Like, it's still kind of staggering to me that we have some echoes, but they didn't go like all in on the echoes. You know what I mean? Like,
well, there's one semi-clone in Isabelle, 5 wholly unique characters, and 5 echoes. So that's 50-50. I think that's pretty good. That's as
Okay,
many
I know.
echoes as there are unique characters.
I guess. I don't know. I want an
I mean,
echo,
I'm with
Mitchell.
you. I want Dixie Kong.
I want an
She's-
echo. Everybody else has an echo. I want an echo.
She's still
one.
my favorite Donkey Kong character.
Dixie is one of those exclusions that it's like, I can't believe Dixie Kong is not in the game. Like, out of the Nintendo characters left who absolutely deserve it, Dixie's probably near the top of the ladder at this point. I mean,
It's just a soggy taco to not have her at this point. It's a little bit disappointing.
the taco is drenched, and really, I think they can still dry out the taco, but I don't think the taco is going to get dry after the 5 DLC. We'll talk about that.
Cool.
Thank you for the call, Mamechi, Ted Cruz, something. You keep on keeping on. Hey, maybe you'll get to 800 Twitter followers after this episode. I'm pulling for you, buddy. All right, let's take our next call.
Hey, Hyle. 10th time caller here, a person who really likes to talk about video games but doesn't really play too many games anymore, although I'm currently trying to 100% Donkey Kong Country Returns, and I did pick it up on release day for the Wii. Anyway, we're here to talk about Smash Brothers Ultimate. The characters I wanted most for Ultimate are Tyler Perry. I thought it was cool when they announced Daisy Ridley for Star Wars for Ultimate. Oh wait, they meant Daisy and Ridley. Well then, I was referring to Steven Tyler and Steve Perry from Aerosmith. Not Tyler Perry, but Steven Tyler and Steve Perry. I hope they make it into the game, even though I don't really have an opinion on Aerosmith. But they have had video games, and they are video game heroes. They had an Aerosmith arcade game where you threw or shot out CDs or something, and I believe I'm pretty sure that was an actual thing. And I remember an old Nickelodeon show called Bing, The Sound of Something New, where they played an advanced copy of said Aerosmith game. Or was it another Aerosmith game? I'm not sure. Was there more than one Steven Tyler and Steve Perry game? The world may never know. Anyway, most will probably talk about the Piranha Plant, which I'm fine with since it's technically PD Piranha. It doesn't matter. I was reading about how Nintendo of Japan doesn't see Toad as his own singular character, and is instead just one of many Toads. But I think here in America, we definitely think of Toad from Mario Kart as the Toad that supports Princess Toadstool, her kind of like first in command or something, her underling. While I guess Japan doesn't see it that way, but I'm not sure. Even though Japanese culture is obsessed with characters, singular characters, think of the million characters that the Hello Kitty company owns. I'll leave you now with what I wrote to Tony on Twitter about the Grinch leak a week before and how we were thinking that it was both fake. He said, yeah, now I'm leaning towards fake for the leak. Then I said, I'm thinking it's fake because the person who made it might think that Nintendo and Universal Illumination are closer than they actually are. Like, just because Universal Illumination is making the Mario movie doesn't mean that they use the same advertising company to work for the Grinch and Smash. And then...
And then it cuts off.
And that Tony did that too.
You know, how did Mamechi become the center of the DK Vine universe? I feel like all roads lead to Mamechi at this point.
Yeah, if there's any fear about the Piranha Plant like impacting the future of what's allowed in Smash Brothers, we should maybe be focusing first on how Tony has impacted the future of the DK Vine community, because it's real. It's a real amount. A lot in that call. There's a bunch about Aerosmith that I don't know enough about Aerosmith to make any comedic repartee or comments on. Hyle, how much do you know about Aerosmith?
I got one. So, if they kept, like, it looks like we're gonna have like a whole bunch of hands in this, getting very handsy in this in this game. So with all the hand characters, you had Master Hand and Crazy Hand, but it looks like there's going to be the whole Hand clan in this game. But for a time there, it felt like maybe we were going to like just keep expanding to other body parts of the family. So it's a shame that we don't have Master or Crazy Lips in the game, because that could be played by Steven Tyler of Aerosmith, because he's got a big mouth on him. He does. That's all I got.
And Aerosmith sang "Come Together" in the Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band movie. That's a thing.
That is a thing, and I love it when people say "Come Together" is an Aerosmith song. I really appreciate that as a Beatles fan. I think that really shows that people know what they're talking about.
And they stayed in Wayne's breakfast nook one time in Wayne's World.
They did.
So that's my complete knowledge of Aerosmith. However, there were 3 points I isolated in that call that were actually about Smash.
All right.
Number 1, technically PD Piranha. I think this person might have had a misunderstanding of the final Smash. This is not a plant that turns into PD Piranha. This is a plant that summons PD Piranha.
Right. Summons him like the Commissioner summons the Batman with the signal.
I like the thinking, though. I like the thinking that there's a way around this, and there isn't. But it's fun to see people push for it. Second point, the whole singular toad thing. Yeah, that's always been a discussion, right? That even outside of Smash, that's been something people have been talking about for a while, whether or not there is a singular toad. And it seems to depend, at least in America. I don't know the whole situation about what Japan thinks, but at least in America, it seems to depend on when you were born and when you started getting into Nintendo games. For me, my first Nintendo game that had Toad in it was Super Mario 64. And then I went back and played all the older games later. But with Mario 64, there were multiple Toads in that game. It wasn't all the same Toad. So I never even really started thinking that there was only one Toad.
See, for me, Mitchell, Super Mario Brothers was the first Mario game I played, but then Super Mario Brothers 2 really hit that sweet spot.
Yeah.
Of course, it had the playable Toad, and then the Super Mario Brothers Super Show, and that whole DiC-produced line of cartoons really implanted in my brain the idea that there's one Toad, that there's a main Toad, and then the rest were mushroom retainers, mushroom people, and it wasn't until, I believe, the new Super Mario Brothers era, maybe a little bit before that, where the notion that they're all called Toad became a thing in the West. But before that, there was Toad, and then there were the mushroom people or various other terminologies to. If
my memory serves me correctly, the game that broke it, the game that like for sure said no, these are Toads plural, was Mario Sunshine, when there was Toadsworth, and then like a bunch of Toads with different colored heads. In a group. So that was at least the first explicit thing I remember.
Well, there's Toadsworth, there's Toadette, but like Toadsworth is still a different name than Toad. It's like...
Yeah, no, but there was a group of, like, there's a yellow, a blue, a green, a red, and a purple Toad, like all in a group that sometimes just went to different places in Mario Sunshine, and those were all Toads. And when you would talk to them, it would say Toad.
My personal fanon that I haven't really talked about up until this point, because I did not just invent it at the right out of thin air just now, is that Toad became such a hero to the mushroom people that they all refer to themselves as Toad in honor of Toad, kind of like a Spartacus thing.
Humans are now called Kenbone because we loved Kenbone so much. During that
I
2016
haven't thought about
election.
Ken Bone since 2016, and honestly, I think Ken Bone is a very, very unimpressive specimen of a human being. How could you be undecided at that point, Ken Bone? How could you be undecided at all? You're not a thinker, Ken Bone, and I don't care if you did wear an adorable sweater. I think you're a poor icon for the children.
They found his Reddit profile, and it seemed like he was publicly liking and commenting a bunch of pregnancy porn. And one of my favorite comments from that Reddit profile was that he called pregnant women beautiful human submarines. And that is Ken Bone. That's who Ken Bone is. And for that reason and many more, that is why humans have renamed the word human to Ken Bone. So we're just all Ken Bones, and this is Ken Bone kind out here. for the same reason that's why the mushroom retainers are called toads.
Super Mario Wiki, I don't expect you to change the Toad page or the Toad disambiguity page, whatever you call it on the Wikipedia things. But I don't expect you to do that, because I know this is just something I probably invented out of thin air right now. But you could put under trivia that DK Vine's Hyle from Off of the Kongversation has this theory about why they're all called Toad all of a sudden, when that wasn't the case before.
Hyle Russell, a Ken Bone from DK Vine.
Yeah, you know, I think pregnant women are beautiful submarines too.
The point about whether Toad is a singular person or not is I don't know if it's ever really mattered for Smash whether or not Toad can get in Smash, because I've always linked it to whatever we decide for Toad is probably also the same for Yoshi's situation. And Yoshi's been in Smash the whole time.
Yeah, okay, but there is a singular Yoshi. It's the Yoshi that met Mario as a baby.
Sure, yeah, that's one of them. But even in Yoshi's Island, there are other Yoshi.
Right, I know, but those Yoshi are also colored, you know, differently. You know, there's blue Yoshi, and yeah, so are Toads. But the Yoshi situation was presented to us as the de facto truth from the start, where Toad was one of those things where it might have been true in Japan, but it wasn't the case in the West, and all of a sudden they just forced this on the West after so many years of this one scenario. And, you know, before they always did it in a compromisey sort of way, like, oh, okay, she's Peach in Japan, she's Princess Toadstool in the US, she's Peach Toadstool, but you can just call her as Peach from now on. That's fine. That works for me. But, you know.
I'm not as convinced. You bring up some good arguments, but like even in the first game that Toad is in Super Mario Brothers, there are multiple Toads, or multiple mushroom retainers at least, in different castles. And I don't know. It's whatever. Like in promotional art, the Toad in Super Mario Brothers 2 has a red hat, even though he has a blue hat in game. And then to reference that Toad specifically, the playable Toad in Super Mario 3D World is also blue, even though canonically, I guess it doesn't matter. I don't care. I'm out.
It does matter. You know it matters. You know it matters more than anything you've ever argued about in your life.
Hyle, that's true, but I'm disappointed in me. So that's a me thing.
Okay. That's fine. That's fine.
The last point is Universal and Nintendo loving each other is not as much of a thing as people think. Yeah, okay.
Okay. I mean, they're doing a park together. So
I didn't think that the reason the art printing studio would have Universal stuff and Nintendo stuff was because they were tied together. I thought it was just like proof that they would have high profile clients.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although the more I think about my theory about Illumination being behind all of this, the more I'm in love with that theory, and the more it helps me project my hatred of the Grinch leaker and my hatred of Illumination all into one entity. It reduces the amount of hate I have for the world at this point in time, and just allows me to focus on a singular enemy. And I like that, because it makes me a more pleasant person in general.
It's all us Ken Bones against the Grinch.
Yep. Okay. So this next call, I believe, is from 10th time caller, who's now going to be 11th time caller after this one, unless he just rolls them all into one call. So, let's find out.
Hey, 11th time caller here. Fuck that douchebag 10th time caller who can't get a call in under 3 minutes. Anyway, back to the artist formerly known as Memenci. As I was saying, I said that the Grinch leak was fake just because Universal Illumination is making a Mario movie doesn't mean the same advertising company would do work for the Grinch and Smash. Then post-direct, I said, and we were right. And then he said, let's go to Trader Sam's to celebrate, which is a bar at the Disneyland Resort. Now, should I go to this meeting with Menchie? Should I have a drink with Memenci, or on the Cars ride? And I'm only saying Cars ride because the creator of Cars, John Lasseter, I don't actually think that Memenci, but maybe. Anyway, here's to the hope that Dixie Kong will be one of the 5 downloadable characters, although unlikely given that it's now Nintendo's call, or Sakurai just saying that, so we'll stop hassling him.
Okay.
Memenci, I'm sorry?
I feel like you asked a cool guy out to a drink at Trader Sam's, and it did not go the way you expected vis-a-vis podcast rapport. That's a little rough.
I feel like this is a Warren Zevon lyric just waiting to happen. Well, John Lasseter, I guess would be a very, very poor addition to the Masterhand family. So, bullet dodge there. And something about Dixie Kong. What?
You want to take the next call?
Yeah, I pretty much tuned him out. Yeah, meow. Okay, next call.
Hey there, Hyle and Mitchell. This is Andre calling to talk about the final Smash Brothers Direct before Smash Brothers Ultimate launches just a month now. It's crazy how close it is finally. Feels like it's been absolutely forever since we first learned about it last March. The Direct, coming out of it, Smash Ultimate has Ridley and K. Rool in it, and the Belmonts. At that point, there's nothing Nintendo could do to dampen my enthusiasm for the game. But looking back at the Direct itself immediately afterward, and how it tried to sell us on the game, I was like, wow, it really felt more like Wii U era Nintendo than Switch era Nintendo, you know? But as, the days have gone by, looking back on it, I've only grown more and more positive about what the Direct showed us. Piranha Plant. First of all, 110% on board with Piranha Plant from minute one. Okay. Ridley and K. Rool are going to be my most played, but other than them, maybe Pikachu and Little Mac, I think Piranha Plant's probably going to be my most played character. It's so great. Incineroar, out of all the newcomers, all the character reveals is the only one that annoyed me at first. When I saw him, I had that moment of you're adding the dozenth Pokemon to this game. It's not even Decidueye. But then I looked over his footage and paid attention, and his whole wrestling heel shtick is actually really funny and really endearing, and I love Incineroar now. And Decidueye seems well, what good would that do? We have Incineroar. And so the other thing is Ken, and to segue this into an actual question for you to answer, I've never seen anyone bring this up before, so maybe it's just me. Ken was, Incineroar was the only one to annoy me. Ken was the only one that I didn't really have any feelings on one way or another. And I think a big part of that is similar to how I felt about Ryu and when he got added to Smash 4. To me, one of the big draws of seeing a character added to Smash Brothers is to see how they translate a character typically from a single-player adventure game into a multiplayer fighting game playable character. And when that character is already from a fighting game to begin with, it's still cool because Smash Brothers is so different from other fighters, but it's not as cool. Yeah, do you feel the same way? Let me know. Thank you.
Hey, Andre.
Hey, Andre. So, just to show you where my mind's at, when he started talking about Ken, I completely spaced that we were talking about the Street Fighter character. I thought he was referring to Ken Bone.
Right. Well, from one Ken Bone to another, I always feel that way.
So, yeah, thank you for the call. And what do you think about this? I sort of agree with where he's coming from, especially since we've already seen Ryu translate into Smash Brothers. There's no surprise or joy in seeing Ken there, who is basically just American Ryu.
Yeah,
wearing red.
By definition, with Echo Fighters, you're never going to have that moment of like, how is this thing going to work? Every single Echo Fighter you get already. You already understand. But I would agree that fighting characters in general being brought to Smash are a little bit less exciting than, especially for single-player games. Right?
Right.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I echo your thoughts on Incineroar. I think I like him more after seeing him, as is always the case with Smash Bros. Characters. Seeing them in motion is kind of a, oh, okay, that's fine, because like I can see how it's fun. But still a little bit of a boring addition, or maybe annoying that your personal Pokemon didn't get picked. At the beginning of the call, Andre described this Direct as a Wii U era Direct. And I think that's pretty smart. That's pretty a smart call on Andre's side. I feel exactly what you're talking about. Yeah,
I can see that, which is again why I feel like it was better that this came after all of these stellar directs that we got prior to it, because I feel like had there been a Wii U era level direct in the middle or near the beginning of the hype cycle for this game, it could have done a lot to derail the expectations or the enthusiasm for it. I feel like at this point the game's bulletproof and no flaccid or weak rollouts could really harm it, but your views may differ.
If you're defining the Wii U era by Nintendo's inability to touch into what the audience is actually feeling and wanting and feeling and thinking about, then I would agree that this Direct is emblematic of that, especially in the way that it went into the options menu and the help menus.
Yes.
Like that is
so
exactly how Nintendo doesn't know what we want. So I would totally agree.
Well, and it also reminds me of the level of presentation in the Wii U era. It was just like, what are you doing, Nintendo? Like, what? Hire a marketing team already. What is this? But it really, like I said, it doesn't matter at this point because we've played the game. We know it's great. The game has so many positive things going for it.
Yeah.
At this point, it would like they would have to reveal Adolf Hitler as the first DLC character to really make me question where they're going with it. You know,
the big thing I was waiting for, other than characters I wanted for this Direct, was the story mode or the adventure mode or whatever they were going to do for the single player. The classic mode, like remember how classic mode is going to be done in this game? It's already so much better than it was done in Smash 4. Mm-hmm. So just between that and single player working out, and I don't think Spirits was a total bust at all. It doesn't really matter that this Direct was a soggy taco. The game itself, I know it's going to be, if not like the best Smash, because that's hard to say up front, it will at least be a very strong contender. There's nothing I'm seeing about this game that's like, oh, they obviously shouldn't have done that. So that's great.
If it's not like fundamentally, mechanically the best Smash, it will at least be a Smash we're all very sentimental about. And I think that's almost just as important as how does it play? How does it stack up in very minute detail to Melee? You know, all that stuff ultimately doesn't matter. It is about the presentation a lot of times. It is about the experience. And I think it's going to be a good experience for all of us. So, you know, Smash for Wii U and 3DS. I said before, even if K. Rool had been in it, the game was just so weird and off-putting and just not for the type of gamer I am, that I don't think I would have enjoyed it even if I got K. Rool. This is completely different. This is a game I was on board with already before I knew about K. Rool. So that's good. That's a good thing. I don't know where else to go with that. I'm just going around in circles saying
there's only so many ways to say it's good that they did what they did.
Yeah, Smash for Wii U bad, Smash Ultimate good. So we have one more call, and then we'll get into the DLC. All right, here we go.
Hey guys, it's me. You know, the guy that Hyle wouldn't rake his leaves for, or I guess rake my leaves, whatever, English. Yeah, I didn't really do much looking into this whole Grinch leak thing because I was so busy trying to figure out how I was going to get all these leaves off my yard that instead I spent all that time researching and buying a backpack blower, which I'm actually pretty excited about. Haven't decided yet if I'm going to paint it Banjo backpack blue or if I'm going to go with the Weldar approach, you know, because the little hose blowing out air and whatnot, like a welder torch blow thing, whatever. But yeah, I forgot where I was going with this. As far as Smash is concerned, I don't really care who the other DLC people are. Obviously, I would like to have Banjo in there. I think if this is the last Smash game to come out, it would be great if they came out with both Banjo and Grunty. It's probably not likely at all, but I think that would be cool because, you know, we have Donkey Kong, Diddy Kong, and K. Rool. So if they did put Banjo in there, it would be awesome if they put Banjo and Banjo and Grunty because there's Mario, Bowser, Samus, and Ridley, and all that fun stuff. So it would be nice to have a Banjo villain in there too. Don't know or have any clues about the other three. Yeah. Apparently no one really cared for my Leaky leaked for Smash joke a while back. I think maybe one person laughed, but I still think that Leaky would be a great advocate, or a great mascot rather, for DK Vine, for all the leaks that come out there. Just a thought. Yep, take it easy guys. Bye.
Well, thank you for the call. To be fair, I did use Leaky as the image on Facebook when I said, I will not be discussing this obviously true Grinch leak. Sorry, but it's very, very real, and I will not be talking about it. We'll talk about it in a couple of weeks after we see all 7 reveal trailers. So I did use Leaky there, but I still think Leaky would be best served as a bucket in Sea of Thieves, obviously. As for your other point, something about Weldar. I don't really think Weldar is going to be one of the DLC characters. As much as we all love Weldar from off of Banjo-Tooie, I really don't see him getting in before Banjo-Kazooie themselves.
So you were supposed to rake this guy's leaves.
He keeps going on about these leaves of his and how he wants me to rake them. And I don't know if he is aware that I don't do manual labor and I'm not really capable of it.
Like a good neighbor, Hyle is there, and then you poof there. That's what your job is. I
mean, I guess I can make that a Patreon tier. DKMod.com/Patreon. You know, Hyle will come to your house and rake your leaves for $5,000 a month, but other than that, it's just not financially viable.
You know, if it was $5,000 a month, you should probably do it.
Yeah, but then at what point am I running a video game website, and at what point am I just doing lawn care? Like, at what point am I really just strolling away from the actual point of my career, and I just get tricked into running a lawn care company. Like,
the thing about raking leaves is that it's incredibly easy to do in terms of like all of the manual labor you could be asked to do. Raking leaves,
really,
it's pretty easy.
Because I'm pretty inept when it comes to using a broom, so I would imagine a rake would be pretty similar.
It's easier than that because leaves are big.
Speaking of brooms, he mentioned something about Gruntilda.
Yeah.
But we'll just segue right into the DLC talk. Well, actually, I should also point out the K-Roll amiibo was announced. It's coming out February 15th. Hurrah! I will be getting it, obviously.
Same day as the Piranha Plant amiibo and the Ice Climbers amiibo.
Yeah. I've decided I'm going to get the K-Roll amiibo, and I'm going to get the Wolfe amiibo, Wolfe O'Donnell amiibo, because Star Fox is still, it's a lesser part of the Donkey Kong universe, obviously a controversial part of the Donkey Kong universe. The Dinosaur Planet trilogy, as we call it, raises some eyebrows, but I still have a lot of sentimental attachment to those characters, and I really like Wolfe's story arc in Star Fox Assault. So yeah, gotta get me a Wolfe amiibo too. But yeah, K-Roll, very excited about that. All right. So, 5 DLC characters.
5
That's all
DLC
there's gonna
characters.
be. Yeah.
Yep, there
Yeah.
are.
Yeah.
Technically 6 with Piranha Plant, but yes, there are 5 that we don't know about yet.
Piranha Plant is just a little tee-hee-hee thing, but the meat on the bones, and I say that as a vegetarian, 5 DLC characters. Sakurai tweeted yesterday, I believe, that Nintendo selected these 5 characters. They're not coming from the brain of Sakurai. Nintendo said, hey, these characters right here. Chop, chop, buddy.
Yeah.
And that some people are like viewing it as, whoa, no, we're not going to get what we want. We're not going to get anything cool. Mitchell, I think that is actually the best case scenario for us, because we're going to be avoiding perhaps a Smash 4 situation where it was Sakurai really wants Cloud from Final Fantasy. We're not going to get that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of people like Cloud in Smash Brothers, and it makes sense because Cloud is a video game all-star. I'm not personally a fan. Yeah. I think limiting and putting a constriction around what Smash can be forces it to focus on what it is, and by extension makes it more important for things like K. Rool that have taken a while to get in Smash, because they don't lose their luster. It's not just an anything video game character crossover. It's still mostly a Nintendo thing. And Nintendo is not going to do something like Cloud or Snake. What they will maybe be slightly more likely to do that is also bad, and I think this is the thing people are nervous about from this, is something like Corrin, which would be an advertisement character for a recent game, and that kind of just doesn't feel great, right?
Right. And I agree with that. But I also feel like things have changed, and I feel like Smash Ultimate, we know it's not going to be the final Smash Brothers. Obviously, that's just fantasy right there. But if this is Sakurai's swan song, and who knows, there might be a 6th game in him, because he could say, I'm done, I'm out, and then 2 years down the line, Nintendo's like, hey, Smash Brothers, and he's like, okay, but for all intents and purposes, this is the final Smash Brothers, at least in our brains right now. Let's just say the Ultimate, it's in the name right there. This is it. So I feel like Nintendo is going to be slightly cognizant of that, and they're not going to say, hey, we've got Kirby, we've got this Kirby game coming out. Let's just, or I'm trying to think of like something incredibly superfluous that I don't know. We got new Luigi's Mansion, so let's put in his fucking vacuum as a character. I don't know, So I feel like these are going to be heavy hitters. And I feel like we've got to look at who's not in the game and who has not appeared as assist trophies. So Isaac has appeared as an assist trophy. Shadow has appeared as an assist trophy, just to take it back to the Grinch leak.
Sure.
So they are more than likely not going to be DLC. They're not going to be echoes. We know that. And that makes sense now with the knowledge that Nintendo picked them. So it's not going to be developed with the mindset of, well, we can base it around this fighter and save some time.
So I think we've already seen a character that might have gotten in if Sakurai was in charge of it, not get in because Nintendo's in charge of it. That is Rex.
Okay.
So if you remember, they said if you get the fighter pass, you get a little bonus with that, in addition to all the things that you can buy separately from the fighter pass, which is the Rex Mii costume. And during the Direct, Sakurai comments on that Mii costume saying, basically, Rex didn't make it in the roster this time. The DLC was chosen before Xenoblade Chronicles 2 came out. So he didn't make it, but we hope with this Mii costume you feel like you're playing as him. That is way more of an apology than Springman got, than Isaac got, than any of these other deconfirmed characters have got. And in fact, it's the only character he's directly commented on that isn't playable in this whole launch cycle. So I think that implies that he really wanted to make Rex a playable character, and Nintendo didn't have that in mind. So we already saw some difference between Nintendo and Sakurai. I think you can point to that and say that's a difference.
Yeah. Also, the apology by way of Mii costume is something that's very near and dear to my heart because that's what K. Rool fans got after he crushed it in a ballot. So,
yeah.
There is historical precedence for somebody Sakurai realizes either he wants in the game or should be in the game, but they cannot put in the game. So, okay, damn it, just do a Mii costume.
I guess it's the best you can do that late, but
yeah. I mean, that's exactly what happened with K. Rool. And then of course Sakurai made it up to us with Smash Ultimate, but because as we all know, the ballot was pretty much, I don't want to say a hoax, but it was not what it purported to be. It was we've been through it before, but they've done right by it eventually, so no hard feelings there. And ultimately, I'm glad K. Rool was a newcomer for this game and not Smash 4. It worked out in the end.
So a lot of people are saying that spirits don't deconfirm characters.
Yeah.
And I get where they're coming from, but I'm not sure I agree. My take is, it's not that if there is a spirit you can't do a DLC character of them. Like, that would be silly. You of course you can. Just do it anyway. Or take that spirit out. Like, there's a number of things you could do. My theory is just that they knew what these DLC characters were going to be earlier than they knew the DLC characters last game. So, if you know you're making Geno, for example, you wouldn't put a Geno spirit in the game. There is a Geno spirit in the game, though, which makes me less quick to say that I think Geno will be DLC.
Yeah, I'm on the fence about this, but I generally agree with your interpretation, just because they know ahead of time there is a plan. There's a Final Five, and like the Cylons, they also have a plan. I think I made the Final Five Cylon joke with Smash 4 too, but it's an oldie but a goodie. DKVine.com/Quiznos, everyone. Check it out. As much as I would like Dixie to be part of the Final Five, and as much as Nintendo being in charge of the DLC does make me think there is a bigger chance that there could be a Donkey Kong inclusion with the Final Five, just because Donkey Kong is a franchise Nintendo is trying to build back up. They have a vested interest in it now, more so than Sakurai does. And as much as I have been pro Sakurai, lauding him for his decision making this time around, for giving the fans what they want, I also know Donkey Kong is not his favorite franchise. Obviously, that's the case. K. Rool got in because of overwhelming fan demand, and K. Rool wanted to do right by what the fans wanted. But if it was up to Sakurai's decision making, it would have stopped with Diddy. I do believe that. So I think Nintendo being at the helm opens things up, but you're right about the spirits. It makes me pause and question it. We've seen Dixie and Dixie and Kitty in a hovercraft, which is, by the way, is, I guess, statistically better than just Dixie, according to this game. People will disagree. People will say Kitty actually weighs Dixie down, but whatever. We've seen Cranky as a spirit, but we've also seen Captain K. Rool as a spirit. And I know people are saying, oh, well, but in Japan, they think they're brothers. No, they know there's one K. Rool, in at least in development here in Smash
there are
Ultimate.
examples of like specific poses of Wii Fit Trainer being their own spirits. So
Which
there
is
definitely
weird.
are spirits of characters that are also fighters. I understand that is true. I'm just coming at it from, if you're going to put Geno in the game, you want to make it a big surprise, don't put Geno in the game at all before you put Geno in the game. That's what I would assume would happen. I could be wrong, and there could be Geno anyway. And any other example of a DLC character that you would want that is firstly a spirit. But yeah.
And then there's the incredibly convoluted argument you could make that, well, by excluding them as spirits, then people are going to just naturally assume they're going to be DLC. So to throw up people off the scent, we've got to include them as spirits. And remember, Mewtwo appeared as a trophy in Smash 4 before he was announced as DLC. So, precedent.
Yeah, Mewtwo appeared as a trophy in Smash for 3DS before he was announced after 3DS's release. I actually do think that the DLC for that game started after that game's development, where I don't think that is true for this game.
Agreed.
Yeah, I don't think the point isn't that there was a trophy and then there was a DLC character. The point was they made this character a trophy before or after they knew about the character. That's what matters.
Agreed. Yeah, it's different this time around. The mythology is different. There is a different way of going about it, so we can't really rely on the past to say, well, this is the way it was in Smash 4, so we can just apply it to this situation. Not necessarily. So that we got a lot of deconfirmations with the assist trophies. A good deal of the Grinch leak was kneecapped right there, like Nancy Kerrigan, and that raises the question: who is the Tanya Harding of the situation? Who is the Tanya Harding, and who will be DLC? So
that is the question.
That is the question.
That classic question.
For all you figure skating scandal fans out there. Mitchell, like, at this point, I don't think Dixie's going to be in it, as much as it pains me to say. Then again, I besides that brief flirtation with Dixie as an Echo Fighter, I never thought Dixie had much of a chance, honestly, especially after K. Rool. I thought there might be a chance, and I really warmed up to the idea of her as an Echo Fighter, where before that I would have been like, no, she's got to be unique because she's a special butterfly, snowflake, perfect autumn leaf falling to the ground.
Yeah.
But, whatever.
She's essentially an echo of Diddy in Donkey Kong Country 2.
Yeah, I would have
fair.
been, especially after Tropical Freeze introduced, the gumball gun. It'd be so easy. But, I wanted Funky Kong then. I got greedy with the Echo concept, I admit. But I don't think then we're going to get Dixie. Definitely not Funky. Cranky, honestly, I could see Cranky Kong as an outside possible. I'm not putting any money down on it. I'm not going to bet on Cranky Kong. But out of all the Kongs at this point, Cranky would be the one I actually would argue has the best chance now with the current circumstances.
Is he a spirit? Have we seen it?
Oh yeah, he is. Fuck
Okay.
it. Okay, no.
That could really go either
Kong, Wrinkly Kong, because she can't be a spirit because she already is a spirit. Therefore, she would be the best served to be the playable Kong as DLC. And who wouldn't buy DLC of Wrinkly Kong? Kids would be lining up around the block at the old DLC machine for that one.
So, who do you think will be DLC then?
I don't know. At this point, I can't trust my own instincts because I was taken in by the Grinch leak. I have invalidated any opinions I can make about Smash from here on out. I have no credibility, Mitchell. I am basically one of those Beltway pundits who say, oh yeah, well, it looks like the Democrats are going to take it. Then on election night, I'm going to be like, oh no, it looks like the blue wave was a bust. Republicans are going to keep the House. And then a few hours later, I mean, no, of course, the Democrats are going to take the House. I am basically Chuck Todd. I am the Chuck Todd of Smash podcasting journalism. So I can't in good conscience make any predictions. I really don't know. I want to say, I want to believe Banjo-Kazooie still has a shot.
Yeah,
because
Banjo-Kazooie is on my prediction list, for sure.
Here's why. We have not seen any suggestion of Banjo-Kazooie at this point, but it's like one of the most wanted characters, or in this case, a character tandem that's out there. And Microsoft and Nintendo are a little cozier thanks to the Minecraft deal. They've been openly flirtatious on social media, so it makes me want to believe. I know Phil Spencer was on record during the Smash 4 era as wanting it, so I really want to believe it, but Mitchell, I can't get my hopes up. I can't do it. I at this point, I have to just be happy with K. Rool. If I get them, oh my god, it's going to be the party to end all parties. I'm going to be, to use another Batman analogy, like Jack Nicholson's Joker, dancing to Trust on my float, throwing cash in the air, downtown Gotham City. That's what's going to happen if that transpires, but I just can't bank on it.
So yeah, I feel the same way. My biggest thing right now is that Vergebben said a few things about DLC. They're worth talking about. He was right about literally everything else. The first is that this has been since like the beginning. He's always said that there is some significant Minecraft content in the game. He hasn't confirmed whether that's a character or not. But because we haven't seen any yet, and just like some Minecraft spirit, I think would be pretty lackluster for what Minecraft is. I'm gonna say that whatever Minecraft is gonna come in with Banjo-Kazooie, and Minecraft being in those talks boosts the chances of Banjo-Kazooie coming in considerably, because that just means they're already talking to Microsoft, right? So I could see, especially because it's Nintendo rather than Sakurai, I could see them really going for Minecraft. It's one of their most important third parties right now. Yeah. So that accounts for 2 of my 5 predictions. Banjo-Kazooie and Steve from Minecraft, I think, will both be DLC characters.
Well, if we're talking about what's important to Nintendo at this point in time, then what about the character Fortnite?
Oh, Fortnite. I see.
Wait, what? No, the character Fortnite. All the kids are into this character Fortnite from the video game, this self-titled video game, right?
Yeah, it's actually a sequel to Knight Rider.
Okay.
Yeah, there's that. I don't think Fortnite yet has the history. Minecraft is 10 years old though, and Minecraft is over 10 now. And
Old
yeah,
enough to drink.
Old enough to drink, I always say, at the age of 10. So those are two of my predictions. Another third party that's very important to Nintendo right now is Ubisoft. We're seeing them mingle Mario with Rabbids and Star Fox with their new IP Starlink. I think people have been asking for Rayman for quite some time. I think it's finally time. Rayman is my third prediction.
We haven't seen any hint of Rayman in this one.
Well, we maybe seen a hint, maybe a little hint, because there are rabid spirits, so that means that there was some talk at least with Ubisoft. But if it's just the same thing as it was in Smash 4, and it's just there's spirits, and Rayman is a spirit too, that would be pretty disappointing, right? Like it was so awkward in Smash 4 because Rayman felt like a whole character and it was just a trophy, and they didn't do that for anyone else.
If you're going to have this arrangement with Ubisoft and you're going to get assets in the game, why wouldn't you just do what people want and have Rayman as a character? It's unfathomable. It's like if you're going to talk to Microsoft to get Minecraft elements, just get Banjo-Kazooie in it because that's what everybody wants.
Yeah. And plus, this is Nintendo, and what benefits Nintendo? Well, Nintendo specifically publishes Rayman games in Japan. Ubisoft doesn't publish them there. And in Japan, they are Nintendo console exclusives, because Ubisoft just doesn't have like an arm in Japan that's very strong at all. So I think that would be a significant help toward Rayman. So right now I'm at Banjo-Kazooie, Steve from Minecraft, Rayman. Because it's Nintendo and not Sakurai, I am not guessing what I was previously guessing, which was Edelgard. Edelgard is a female playable character in the upcoming Fire Emblem Switch game. No longer thinking that. I was thinking that when it was Sakurai. You don't think
Nintendo would want to promote that?
I think what Nintendo would maybe be more interested in promoting, especially if it's like what does it mean that Nintendo's choosing? Is it President Furukawa? Is it Miyamoto? Like, who is it? I think if it's anyone on that like secondary, if it's like Miyamoto, Koizumi level, that would imply that maybe Aonuma had a little bit of a say. If Aonuma had a say, I think we're getting a character from Breath of the Wild. Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. I don't know which one yet, but we haven't gotten a new Zelda character, Hyle, in Smash Bros. In 17 years. So
that's not
think
true.
About that. It is
That's
true.
not true.
It's
Toon
true.
Link was in Brawl.
Toon Link is not a new character. Toon Link is Link again. Okay. Toon Link is the exception. Outside of Toon Link, there hasn't been a new character that isn't Link since Melee 17 years ago. That's Zelda. That's Nintendo's third biggest thing. And no, it just isn't. It isn't there. So I think Nintendo being in charge and Breath of the Wild being pushed so heavily in all those Game of the Year awards, and it's being peddled as the most innovative, highly awarded, classy game on the Switch to own. I think a Breath of the Wild character is definitely within the realm of possibility. My personal, it could be anything from Breath of the Wild, and there are a lot of guesses. My personal guess for this is that it's the character Cass, who is an anthropomorphic parrot who plays the accordion and is very nice to me. That is my guess for which Breath of the Wild character it would be. I've been on that Cass hype train for a long time, and it seemed very impossible during the base game, but now that we're at DLC, who knows?
Now, you don't think that it could just be somebody else from Zelda's history, like your Skull Kids?
No, I don't think so, because Skull Kid specifically is an assist trophy. That was confirmed.
Oh, okay.
But never someone mind. Like Skull Kid, even then, also an assist trophy.
Fuck!
Yeah. Yeah, keep going if you want.
Impa?
Impa was weird that wasn't a Sheik echo. I was expecting that one for sure.
Does Sakurai not like Zelda? Because I feel like
Zelda gets a lot of stuff. Zelda gets some cool stages, items, assist trophies, that kind of thing. Definitely a lot of great music. but then the characters, like, they just stopped after Melee.
And I know Zelda is not like a very like heavy hitter character franchise outside of the core trio of Link, Zelda, and some iteration of Ganon or Ganondorf.
Yeah,
but,
the problem is there's not a lot of repeating characters.
and everybody else is incredibly minor. It would be like saying, it would be like if Banjo-Kazooie was still a major Nintendo franchise and Banjo-Kazooie had been in it since the start. And then you'd be arguing, well, there's Banjo-Kazooie, there's Mumbo, there's Gruntilda, Jolly Roger, maybe? Like, I think everybody...
I mean, that's
everybody
what happened
else,
for Pilot, yeah.
Outside of the 3 Zelda characters, everybody else is basically on a Jolly Roger level. You know what I mean?
I don't know. I don't know if I would fully agree to that. There's some exceptions. I think Skull Kid has appeared in 3 games, and he's been pretty important. I'm just gonna say Breath of the Wild. It's like Sheik. Sheik wasn't in one Zelda game ever. And now Sheik is immortalized in Smash Brothers for as long as Smash Brothers keeps going, just because she was in there early. But that only represents Ocarina of Time.
Well, and because Melee came out still pretty close after Ocarina of Time, and if you know Zelda as a play, so it was just circumstantial. But yes, I agree. Like, a lot of this is just catching lightning in a bottle, and then it becomes a thing, a bigger thing as a result. So
yeah,
that's how Sheik became such a big thing. I
would say that since Ocarina of Time, like, what are the Zelda games that deserve to just have their character be one that represents the whole franchise? There's only been one game like that, and that's been Breath of the Wild. Breath of the Wild is more transformative in ways than Ocarina of Time was, I would argue. So that's why I think it should get a character. And that's why I think maybe Nintendo would also think that. So for Gebben, also said that there will be a Square Enix representation. And I've thought about this for a while, Hyle. I know that this is going to sound like me going back on what I was talking about earlier, but I'm also just putting Geno in my predictions.
Okay,
I'm just doing it.
If Geno is okay, but you just said...
I know, I went back on the thing, but, like, it doesn't make sense. No other thing makes sense. Maybe a Dragon Quest character, but, like, talk about not having characters cross over into other games very often. There's a character named Erdrick in Dragon Quest, which would probably be, like, the choice. But, like, even then, like, no one in America knows who that is at all. And that character isn't in the modern Dragon Quest games. And then Sora, Nintendo, that's the kind of thing that Sakurai would pick, but Nintendo wouldn't. Sora from Kingdom Hearts. Because Kingdom Hearts 3 is not coming to Switch. It is coming to Xbox and PlayStation. So I would think Nintendo wouldn't choose that either. I think, like, I don't know. I'm weird about it. I'm feeling really weird about it. And I'm probably going to be, like, yelling at my past self in the future. Just for saying, hey, you brought up the reason why you don't think it's Geno. Why did you pick Geno anyway? And I'll say, I don't know, man. So that's where my predictions are right now. Banjo-Kazooie, Steve from Minecraft, Cass from Breath of the Wild, Rayman, and Geno.
All right, so if there is Minecraft content, I could see a stage, but I don't know about Steve from Minecraft, because I feel like that is a less essential component of Minecraft rather than the environment itself.
So that would imply that there is DLC coming other than what's been talked about for the Fighter Pass.
Oh, you're right. Okay.
Yeah, because the Fighter Pass has 5 tickets on it.
Yeah, you're right.
I'm not saying it's impossible that that's true. There totally could be more stuff. In fact, it seems weird that there's no plan for Mii Fighter costumes outlined right now, because Mii Fighter costumes are what they, like, focused on selling last time around.
Which was ridiculous because it was such a cash grab.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand why, but at the same time, it wasn't very exciting because, honestly, it wasn't very exciting to play as the Miis. So, I don't know. It was like, oh yeah, you get to dress them up in different things, they're still not interesting. They're still not these characters. Fuck this. Why did I just spend $3 on this? Oh, I hate my financial decision making. I should rake leaves for a living. Like that. Those are the thoughts that went through my head after that. I like the fighter pass. I like that you can just buy it all in bulk, just be done with it, rather than the weird tiers of the Smash 4 DLC and just if
it is all that there is, we don't. I guess we don't know
if it is. Right now, I like the way it's being presented to us. I would not put it past them to then say, and here's the accessory pack, and here's, but. I also like that there's going to be a stage. We even have the possibility
of a second season starting after this one ends, which I haven't given too much thought because that scares me. I
almost doubt that, though. I feel like Sakurai had maybe conditions, and this is it. Like, 5 DLC and we're done. I don't know. That's just me projecting my own thoughts onto him, but I like to project things onto him because he's a very sexy man, so... I just do it. I can't help myself. Was that an ejaculation joke? I'll leave that for the viewers to decide. And by viewers, I mean listeners, because this is an audio-only podcast. So I like that there's stages with the fighters. I like that there's going to be more than just fighters, that each fighter will come with their own stage. If we got Banjo-Kazooie, that would obviously mean probably Spiral Mountain, which is very exciting. But again, I don't want to get my hopes up, because it's just like, it's a few degrees of magical thinking to get to the point of Banjo-Kazooie. We have to rely on the Vince Foster leak and then go down like, oh, there's Minecraft content, which obviously means Banjo-Kazooie content. And then that, I don't know.
Yeah.
I've been Grinched once. I don't want to get Grinched again. Grinch me once. Grinch on you. Grinch me twice. Grinch on me.
This has been a 5...
No, did you have anything else to say?
Oh, I thought for sure that was the end of the episode.
I have no idea how I'm going to end this, because we're going to go round and round on this, but I felt like you had more to say.
My thing was just, there are a lot of unknowns right now. We don't know how fast the first newcomer is coming. We don't know how... if every stage necessarily needs to be linked to the character it's bundled with. So, like, Andre here in the chat says, theory, Banjo as a DLC character, but his accompanying stage is going to be Minecraft. I could see that as well. That could potentially happen. But I think that would be disappointing because the audience for Banjo-Kazooie and Minecraft are very different, despite being owned by the same company.
Unless you're Chad McKenna.
Yeah.
You might as well just say Banjo-Kazooie, but in a Halo stage.
Yeah. Or in a Forza stage. Can you imagine him driving a car?
Oh, I know. I think people would really like that. People would really respond well to Banjo-Kazooie driving around in a vehicle. You know what? I think this is $1 million idea.
This has been a 5...
Now, is that the end, or do we have more to say? Because
I always you keep talking like it's like your classic episode ender. I have no idea.
I have no idea how we're going to end this.
It's up to you. I can't end the episode. I can't do it.
Maybe you can. Maybe I can give you the power, Mitchell, because maybe I am like a magical fairy, like an elf, and I can imprint some of my magical powers onto you, much like they did with Saint Nicholas when he wandered too far north from Greece that one December evening that he became the immortal being known as Santa Claus.
Okay, let me try. Development on Super Smash Bros. For 3DS and Wii U started in late 2012. This game's coming out in late 2018. And a lot of these things, like the engine carrying over from those first games into Ultimate, and the character arrivals seemingly just going from Smash 4 to Smash 4's DLC to Ultimate's DLC in a fairly straightforward, connected sort of way, make it seem like, really, even though there was a game in the middle, it's just been a 6-year development period for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. This is what it's all been waiting for. So, with that in mind, how many DLC characters do we need to go through until we get to Chief Bloodison? I'm thinking 9.
This has been a File 2 production.
Que rico.
No, you're right. We should have ended it 2 innings ago.